Hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Let's see. Just hoping that all of this is working. Decided to hop on just very, very last minute here. As we know, there is an hello, hello, Sherry. Hello, everybody. Hello. Decided to hop on very last minute here because as I'm doing, hello, Tammy. How are you? Yeah, I'm here. I am okay. I just wanna check a few things here.
And what was your first impression?
Man, like,
All right, this is all stuff that is previously recorded. Okay. Hello. How's everybody doing? Hello. How's everyone? Hey guys. Well, thank you for joining today's live stream. I was, very similar to last time. I was just sitting here. I've been editing a few videos here and I was listening to the closing arguments, and I have been waiting as well for the jury deliberation. So I wanted to hop on and go through it with you all, especially because if you have all watched the closing arguments and the jury deliberation, it was insane. It was insane what the defense was trying to say. And all of it I thought was a very desperate attempt of the defense. Of course, I know it's their job to defend a POS like this disgusting guy. I'm not even gonna say his name. I don't what is his name? Who cares? Fuckface is what I named him last time. So, yeah, whatever they were saying about him was just absolutely out of this world of anything that I've ever heard of a defense attorney trying their very best to get their client to not get the death penalty. Of course, he deserves that. And I mean, I would argue that he deserves much worse. But here we are. Here we are. Currently, the jury is deliberating. It's been over an hour. It's been over an hour. If you guys don't know about this case, this is the case of Athena Strand. Athena Strand is a 7-year-old girl who was murdered. She was not only murdered, she was sexually assaulted and tortured in the back of a FedEx truck back in November of 2022. She was brutally murdered by a disgusting POS, a guy who at the time was contracted out by FedEx, so he wasn't directly a FedEx employee, but he was delivering packages around the holidays when he saw the 7-year-old Athena Strand and he kidnapped her. He put her in the back of his in the back of his FedEx truck and did all kinds of disgusting, despicable things that I don't even want to talk about here. I mean, it is brutal. It's brutal. It is absolutely disgusting what he has done. But what we have here right now is the jury is still deliberating. It's been over an hour, which I thought was kind of weird. Given all the facts that we know about this case, given how disgusting this man is, and no defense of autism or hemorrhoids is going to stop anybody from giving him what he deserves. Yes, hemorrhoids. Can you believe that? That is what the defense was arguing, that he doesn't deserve the death penalty because of his hemorrhoids and his constipation. It is absolutely ridiculous, absurd. Very, very desperate. I do want to watch the closing arguments with you all because it is just ridiculous what the defense was really trying to do here. Trying to make the jury feel sorry about this guy for having issues with his bladder and having issues with his bum. Who cares? He's a vile and disgusting creature. He is a demon. He doesn't deserve any mercy. Did he have any mercy when he did what he did to a little 7-year-old girl? No, he had no mercy. He showed no remorse. And up until now, even, he's still lying about what actually happened. He has lied and made up so many excuses on why he decided that day to kidnap a 7-year-old and brutalize her to death. So absolutely absurd. I haven't followed this case past your first live on it. Oh, hi, Tommy's girl. Yes, it is. It's hard. It really is. It's very, very hard to watch. It's hard to follow. Now that the case is basically, I mean, not closed yet, but closing arguments have, they happen today, and so because we're nearing a close, I do want to hear what the jury is going to say. Of course, the worst thing that he can get here is the death penalty. That is the maximum sentence, the maximum punishment that he can get. And anything less would be life in prison without the possibility of parole, which, of course, I think we can argue here on which is worse. I think the real justice would be throwing him in Gen Pop, throw him to the wolves, throw him out in general population and let him fend for himself. I think that both other options they're just, it's too good for him. He needs to suffer the way that he made a 7-year-old girl suffer. That is what I think. I think both options are just way too good for him. Again, throw him into general population and let the inmates have fun with him. Let the inmates decide where he ends up. I think that's the best that he can get, in my opinion. Of course, this is just my opinion, but somebody as disgusting as this demon deserves way, way, way worse than what we're talking about here. But anyway, let's go ahead and listen to what they're saying here. They were mentioning that the jury requested a letter from a guy named Chicken. I guess Chicken is I don't know, his nickname. That's the nickname they gave him. I don't know. But here we go. We're bringing chickens into yet another crime. We have Chicken and Carrots with Chris Watts, and here we have someone named Chicken who wrote a letter to this disgusting, vile piece of shit of a human being. And so now the jury wants to read that letter again, apparently for some reason. I don't know why. And they also wanted the rape kit. They wanted basically everything again. Very weird as to why they would want to watch all of that again to come up with a decision. What more do you need? What more do you need? I mean, there's really no letter that anybody can write him that will change my mind on what he deserves, but again, we can never predict what a jury will do. And this is one of those cases I thought it was very interesting that the jury is still waiting. They're still deliberating. They haven't come up with a decision yet, which I thought very, very strange given the facts, the disgusting and just absolutely brutal facts in this case. I don't know why they would still be deliberating. But anyway, that's what's happening right now. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Suspicion there.
No.
He's able to, that's why that abuse that trust, like you would a school teacher, like you would in the church or anywhere else, where your job allows you access to children out in the country. And it also allows you, which this should change, to cover up the lens on a surveillance video that's there not for that reason,
Right.
but,
Right.
but for another reason.
Right.
And then he does it on the front side,
Yep.
as we know. And the constable testified that day, whatever day that was, when first it was one kid and the other kid comes
Yes.
out, and then he comes and says, "Hey, oh, you left the door on your truck
Right.
open."
Right.
So it could have been 3.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, those emotions and those desires can build and build and build and build. And I'm no expert, but it seems to me that's what was going on because, like Cody said,
Oh my goodness.
2 days before Athena was kidnapped, he was going down the very same road.
Yep.
He he was familiar with that
Yes.
delivery area.
Right, he
And
knew the area.
he knew that there were little kids out playing, little girls out playing, and so I just think he was building up to this. That's why I said this is a clear case, as far as I'm concerned, of premeditation, calculation, deviance, and murder. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. That's as clear as a bell to me.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Somebody here said that they're being thorough. Trash Panda Mom. Yes. It seems like they're being thorough. 17 days of trauma. Yes. I mean, yeah, being thorough is one thing. And I mean, knowing the facts is another. How much more thorough do you want to get? Just take one look at him. Throw him to the wolves. Been glued to my TV. Hello. Hi, Tootsie Pop. Hello, hello. Yeah, I was editing some videos for you guys, and then I've been listening to this, and I really wanted to hear you guys' opinions about this case, if you do know about it. Especially with the jury currently deliberating. They're still deliberating. It's been a little over an hour now. And we really don't even know if they're going to finish today or if it's gonna continue. So hopefully we do get a decision today though. We need a decision. This has been going on for a long time. Eric Issa, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Such a sad case. Tanner Horner is a despicable human being. Yes, everybody can agree with that. He is so disgusting. I don't know how. I like I said, I know that it's their job. The defense attorneys have a job to do, but I don't know how they bring themselves to being able to even get anywhere near this guy, let alone defend him and come up with all kinds of ridiculous excuses and defenses for him. They did try Asperger's, they tried autism, they tried his trauma, all kinds of ridiculous excuses for why he thought the way he did. And there is no excuse for what he did. Zero. No one decides because of their autism and their ADHD. I mean, come on, really? ADHD. No one just, oh, my ADHD is so bad that I'm just gonna kidnap this child and torture them in the back of my FedEx truck. That is not how any of these things work. Not at all. So many of us have trauma and ADHD and OCD and all kinds of other things going on with us. And we don't all go around kidnapping children and causing harm to people. Again, there's zero excuse. It's just absolutely crazy. I think it's so ridiculous. But, like I said, they have a job to do. They're going to do it. So, hey, I guess all we really have to do is just hope for the jury to come back with the correct decision. Let's just hope that whatever they need, take the time that you need, but that they come up with the right decision on this case. Yeah, definitely taking a lot longer. So we're going to go ahead and have this in the background. They're kind of just talking about a few things. I do want to watch, though, the closing arguments. The closing arguments, guys, were, oh my goodness. If you guys have watched this already, please, if you guys have watched this already, you don't have to watch this again. But if you haven't, yes, it says it up here, viewer discretion is advised. And that's because it is. We're going to go ahead and listen in, but I do want to play this just because we need to hear what the defense tried to portray this vile creature as. They tried to portray him as this poor child who grew up and was just so traumatized. Again, excuses, all excuses.
The defendant may testify on his own behalf if he elects to do so. This, however, is a privilege accorded to the defendant, and in the event he does not testify, that fact cannot be taken as a circumstance against him. In this case, the defendant has not testified, and you're instructed that you cannot and must not refer or allude to this fact throughout your deliberation or take it into consideration for any purpose whatsoever as a circumstance against the defendant. You have heard evidence that the defendant made an oral and recorded statement on December 2nd, 2022, and on December 7th, 2022. If you find
premeditation,
Right, there
victims
we
that
go.
can't help themselves, children, cases where the victim is sexually assaulted prior to their death, cases where there's no mercy shown to the victim, cases like this.
Yes, Tootsie, did you see yesterday how he molested a family member when they were little? Yeah, this guy is a predator. He is a predator. He is not someone that we should be having any mercy for whatsoever. He's done it before, he will do it again. And my belief is that if he didn't get caught in this murder, he was going to do it again. This was this was not the first time that he assaulted a child, but it was the first time that he murdered a child. And yeah, my guess is he was going to keep doing it. This was one of his fantasies, and he finally did it. His fantasy was he wanted to know what it was like to kill somebody. He mentioned this to somebody before. And yeah, it's very, very obvious that this man is a danger to society. He's a danger to children, to vulnerable kids. Ugh.
This is what, and the reason why that Texas keeps the death penalty here. This is why. This is the type of case. And I'm going to tell you, Tanner Horner is proof why parents hug their children a little tighter. He's proof of why children are nervous to go play outside. He's proof.
Yeah. Yeah, he's why we have this thing called stranger danger. This is why we have to tell our children to not talk to strangers. Say no to someone who's offering you candy or asking you to help them find a dog. This is why. It's disgusting creeps like these. We can't trust anybody. And this is not the first case. This is not even the only case that we're talking about whether there's going to be a death penalty or not. There's another case, right? D4VD. Another disgusting POS, another predator murdered a 14-year-old teenager. And yeah, same reason. This is why we can't trust anybody.
Of why there is evil in society and we can never turn our back. Now, 2015, May 23rd, Athena, she was born. 18 days from today, she turned 11. 18 days. If you remember on opening, we talked a lot about past tense. And I'm not even trying with the glasses anymore because my eyes are smoked after this trial.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Everyone that was involved in this needs therapy after what they went through. Imagine the jury. Just imagine what the jury had to listen to. They had to listen to a grown man, almost 300 pounds, stomping on a child.
We talked a lot about wood. We talked about past tense. And I think it's important. We've heard a lot about people's past, but I think it's important to talk about what would have been. You know, when we talk about Athena, I feel like we want to talk about when she would have graduated. She would have been a Paradise Panther class of 2033. She would have celebrated her birthday party in 18 days. And I can promise you there would have been an overload of pink
I did look for something pink, and guys, I don't own anything pink. I couldn't find anything pink to wear. The closest I have is red, but it's like bright, bright red. But I was looking for something really bright pink to wear, and I couldn't find any. But here, yes, we are wanting justice for Athena. Justice for Athena would be giving that disgusting POS the max. That would be the death penalty. And I am not one that is for the death penalty, except for when it comes to harming children, harming the most vulnerable in society, and those are children. Anytime that you harm a child and when you assault them and you do it for your own disgusting sexual gratification, you deserve nothing but the worst.
That's all wood, okay? The other questions we look at is the future. We look at, when you look at it, you ask yourself, who would she marry? Who would be her first boyfriend? Real boyfriend. Some things that I thought about is what kind of shoes would she wear under her wedding dress? Those things are important. Who would she marry, right? What kind of job would she have? That's what's important here. Her future. And the fact that Tanner Horner cut that short. Brutally cut that short. So that's why we're here today.
I mean, who does he think he is? What a oh my goodness. What do these disgusting people think who do they think they are to take away the life of someone? This is nothing but power. All of this revolves around power. That's why he went after a 7-year-old. This disgusting guy, he wanted to know what it was like to kill someone, but he didn't go after someone his size. He didn't go after a man who was 300 pounds like him. That's because he's a coward. He's such a coward that he didn't go after someone who would be able to fight back. He went after a child. And he thinks he's so big and powerful. Oh, please. Weak. That's nothing but weakness and cowardice.
Tried to do all this by memory. It just doesn't happen. I've only been here 5 weeks now. It just doesn't happen. So the big thing here is this case is going to require a tough choice. We all know this. But the right thing is often the toughest choice. Now, we're taught as baby lawyers, we're supposed to get up here and bring all the fire and brimstone. And I can assure you, I can generate some fire and brimstone. But this isn't the case for it. I can't do any more or say anything more than what you've already seen on that screen. There's nothing I can do. There's no amount of fire and brimstone. There's no amount of jumping up and down and being like that could ever come close to what you've already seen. And I'm not even going to try. The evidence in this case, I'm not going to go through it because it is massive. But the big point of all of this evidence is this. If you start at the beginning, you know the facts. You heard the facts. When I came up here in opening, I told you I was going to put you as close as you could be to actually being there. And I did not lie.
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine actually being there and having to listen to all of that. What he did, I do commend this district attorney for putting this entire case together. And what he said to the jury here, you do have to put them in the where it happened. You have to put them in the spot for them to feel what the victim felt. But I can only imagine how traumatized these people are. We didn't hear anything, but just the description alone, the description of what the jury heard is so much for anybody to handle. I could not handle it. There's no way that these people are going to be okay after this.
In this case, the evidence, we talked about the worst of the worst in the cases that like this, cases that have planning or premeditation. Don't discount the fact that somebody decided to cover up the camera an hour before, 2 days in a row, on exactly the same road with 2 different locations with 2 little girls that were there. You saw the videos. My suspicion is those husband girls would have been first.
This proves premeditation. This is all premeditation. The defense tried to make it seem like, oh, he just snapped. Oh, he has all these issues and he was doing cocaine and then he just snapped. But no, it's not that he snapped. He very clearly premeditated this murder. He knew where the girls were. He knew to drive the same truck. And he knew exactly to cover the camera. All of this is premeditation. It wasn't just randomly, oh, he decided randomly because his poor brain just made him snap. Oh, please, 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 please. That is what the defense tried so severely to convince the jury of, that he just snapped and that he was doing cocaine. Come on. Even more ridiculous is the defense, right? The defense was trying to convince the jury that the reason that Tanner murdered her was because she saw him snorting cocaine by the truck and that she was going to report him. And if Athena had reported him, then he would have lost his job. And then if he would have lost his job, then he would have lost his car. And they try to make it seem like he was spiraling. And oh, that's just the way his brain works. He likes to catastrophize things. Oh, he saw that Athena saw him snort coke, so then he was going to lose his job and then his car, and he would lose his son, and oh my God, his life would spiral. Please. How does a 7-year-old know what he's doing? Oh, he's snorting cocaine. A 7-year-old has no idea what cocaine even is. Come on. That was such a ridiculous thing to say. It was so absurd. I couldn't believe that this is what I was listening to. That he believed, supposedly, right? This is all bullshit. This was just a lie that he said. That he thought that Athena was going to report him and he was going to lose his job because he's doing cocaine on the job. Oh my God, please. She's 7. A 7-year-old has no idea what you're doing. Yeah, you're snorting something. So what? She probably didn't even know that he was snorting anything. Again, but all of these are excuses. None of these are real defenses. All of it was just a lie. And then he also made up a story about Zero, his alter ego. Zero, right? Yeah, he has 0 brains. He has 0 brain cells. So he couldn't even come up with a better name. I want an alter ego. I just don't know what to name it. Zero. That's what he came up with. Zero. What a genius. Wow, what an absolute genius, this guy. His alter ego's name is Zero. That's the best he can come up with. All right, let's go ahead and listen. I want to listen here to the defense, right? Let's listen to the defense, because the defense is they've absolutely lost their mind. Okay. We are going to see here, right now we're listening to the district attorney, and we're going to see the defense walk in and act a fool. All right, so let's go ahead and just listen a little bit more to the district attorney and then listen to the ridiculous defense.
Now, what you've heard for the past 2 weeks is that person driving that vehicle, you can see it right here, this person right here driving this vehicle. You've heard for the last 2 weeks about every form of ailment one could possibly have. And you heard about the last 2 weeks how that person can't cope, has stress, has the inability to do basically anything on the earth whatsoever. It essentially is incapable of doing anything. If you have any doubt about that, Watch the 8 minutes of this video right here, from when he pulls in to Athena's driveway until he covers up the camera. If you have any doubt about somebody's ability to do and participate and be out in the world, watch that video. Because it's real.
The defense tried to make it seem like this guy was drooling on himself, right? Like he really couldn't do anything at all. He held a job. He held a job. He was a FedEx driver. He knew how to read, right? He knew how to drive to the location, how to follow directions and instructions from an employer. But the defense really tried their very best to make it seem like this guy was absolutely just drooling on himself, like just lobotomized completely. That's really, and if he was that way, then he wouldn't have murdered anybody in the first place. It is so absolutely insane what the defense tried here. And that's what we want to listen to because it again it's so absurd because we're seeing him. He's sitting there. He knows exactly what he has done. He has lied the whole time about it. But yet the defense is trying to make it seem like, "Oh, he's just so absolutely slow. We shouldn't give him the death penalty because that would be an injustice. He's too slow. He had no idea what he was doing." Oh, come on, BS. He knew exactly what he was doing from beginning to end. He premeditated the whole thing. The whole thing. Why are we trying to show this guy mercy? He showed her no mercy, and she's a 7-year-old girl, completely innocent, a child, a baby. And he showed her no remorse, no mercy. Why should we give a shit what this disgusting POS went through? No one cares. He's a grown man. And he was completely responsible for what he did, and he knew what he was doing. God, this case just absolutely infuriates me. It really does. It really does. And the defense is really infuriating, and we're about to hear it, guys. We're about to hear these dimwits, right? These two dimwits trying to come up with all kinds of things. Oh my God, well, he was traumatized, but he also had fetal alcohol syndrome. He was also autistic. Oh my God, but he also smelled a lot of lead in his life. He also had ADHD, though. Oh, and he also suffered from constipation. Oh my God, feel sorry for him. What in the world? Why do we care? Why do we care?
Real clear. That's an individual who knows what they're doing. That's an individual who's hunting. That's an individual who's looking around and understanding what's around them. That is an individual who is absolutely lethal. That's an individual who targeted somebody, found somebody, tricked somebody, got him into the vehicle. You all saw when he took his hand and he put it over her mouth. He knows what's coming. You all saw right here. You all saw right here. Bungee cords, trying to tie somebody up. You all saw that. This is not an individual that's on some form of stress-fueled catastrophe. And the cocaine nonsense, come on. Just another lie. Just another lie. But guess what? When you know that you've been caught covering up the camera.
Oh, Tootsie, he has already found God. He already has. It's actually one of the other defenses that the defense attorneys are going to throw in there. Oh, he already came up with a book on prayers. He has already contributed to the community. He has joined a prayer club. Let's not put him to death. He found Jesus. That is what they're about to say. He has already found God. This is the thing that all of these vile creatures have in common is they all find God. As soon as they end up in that little tiny little cell surrounded by cockroaches, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, Jesus, where are you? There you are. I was looking for you my whole life. I had to find you in this tiny little cell. You were hiding behind Chucky the cockroach. I couldn't see you." All of a sudden, they find Jesus. And then they're trying to use their Jesus skills, right? Their Jesus knowledge or whatever God, it's not even just Jesus, whatever God they decide to believe in, right? They then become a preacher. They become this good person. Oh, I found Jesus now, God. I found my God now. I was lost before, but now I have found him. Please have mercy for my soul. That's a nice cop out, right? Very, very nice. You get away with murdering an entire family or families or children, and all you have to do is find God. And then we should feel sorry for you or have mercy now that you found God. Oh, I've written so many books on so many prayers. Have mercy for my soul. I have finally learned my lesson. Oh, please, everyone, every single criminal that we've ever talked about, all of them have found God one way or another. Sometimes even multiple gods. Sometimes they're like, I like all of them. They're like, I like this one, that one, and the other. I'm going to write a prayer book on all of them, see which one accepts me. All of a sudden, yeah, it's going to be used. Oh, we should give him mercy because he's a man of God now. I'm sorry, what? Okay. That's not how it works.
You know you're being caught, what do? You come up with another lie that fits your narrative. That's what you do. And that's what's happened in this case. It's lie upon lie upon lie.
Exactly. If you find God, if you find, salvation, if you find spirituality, it shouldn't take murdering a child to get you there. Just like Ronnie, right? Ronnie Watts. It shouldn't take his son annihilating his entire family, right? His grandchildren for him to want to baptize himself. Oh, I don't want to baptize myself. Oh, you annihilated your entire family, son? Oh, I guess now I have to find Jesus. Otherwise, if I don't find Jesus, I'm not going to get to heaven. I guess I should finally find God. And then he decided he should finally find God because his son murdered his grandchildren. So he doesn't want to follow in Chris's footsteps. And then he decides, I'm going to go find Jesus now. It's a tale as old as time. Tale as old as time. All right, let's continue.
This person driving this vehicle, cool, calm, and obviously, lethal. So, are you going to believe what you hear up here, that this person is basically can't even get up in the morning? Or are you going to believe your eyes and what you see and hear?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that none of these people are genuine. They say they find God, but all of it is it's not real. All of it is performative. They don't actually feel remorse. They say these things because they know that other people will hear it and then believe them. That's all that is. I don't actually believe that any of these criminals, right? These child murderers feel real remorse after finding religion. I don't believe that. Not a second. Not for 1 second. All of it is performative. All of it is just so that they can get sympathy from others because they know that this is how you gain sympathy. You pull at people's heartstrings. Oh, I found God. Please have mercy for my soul. And they know, right? They know that us empathetic, sympathetic people are going to feel for them. Oh, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't do the worst for them because they found God finally. But no, we shouldn't fall for that. All of it is BS. None of them actually believe this. And all their books of prayer, all of it, again, performative. It's because they think, just as Chris Watts, they think that if they have all these books that they can show to the judges, that maybe in the future, they'll have a chance at getting out. Parole, maybe. That's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to have a what is it? Just receipts. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to show receipts. Here you go, judge. I wrote this book of prayer. Read it. Read it. It's handwritten. Yeah, I wrote it with love. I also have this one. Yes, I made it look like Dead Sea Scrolls. Except I don't have fire, so I can't burn the sides. Yeah. I also have this book. Look, I wrote this one with my best friend. Yeah, read it. Oh my God, I put so much effort into those. Can I get out now? Can I get out on parole, please? Please, no. No, 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 never. All of it is BS. Let's continue.
The only sentence in this case that gives justice to her is answering those two questions, yes and no. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Goble.
Here we go. We're about to hear Dumb and Dumber. Look, ugh, I don't know why I stopped it here. Move along. Thank you. Anyway, we're about to hear them. Let's hear everything that they're about to say. Oh my God, I feel sorry for Tanner. Oh, this poor child. Really, they're about to call him all kinds of little things. Oh, he's so fragile. Oh, he's a little lamb. He is almost 300 pounds and he stomped on a child who was barely even 70 pounds. Okay, let's remember that.
Just need the germs out of the two special shoes.
Okay.
Switch it up here.
He took down her photo to put up his stupid poster? Wow. That is insane. That is so crazy. Did they not have another place? He couldn't just tape it to his forehead or to his gut? He couldn't just tape it to his gut and be like, hey, jury, read it from my gut. He had to remove her photo. Zero respect. This defense, they have zero respect for the victim. Zero. This is so disgusting. There's so many other things he could have done with this ridiculous poster. He could have made, I don't know, he could have made other copies, turned it into a little paper plane. So many other things. But he removed Athena's photo so that he can display this crap. Juror's oath. You and each of you do solemnly swear that in the case of the state of Texas against the defendant, you will a true verdict. You will a true verdict. You will what? A true verdict? Okay. I thought maybe I'm just going crazy. You will a true verdict render according to the law. Oh, okay, maybe I can't read. You will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence. So help you God. As if the jury doesn't already know to do this. They're already there. They already took the juror's oath. They don't need to be reminded with a ridiculous poster. Are you kidding me? Does anybody have chewing gum? Take chewing gum, put some in the back, and just tape it to the freaking wall. Wow, a bunch of amateurs. Zero respect to these people. Let's continue.
I do want to start by echoing what Mr. Stanton said. This jury, I think about every one of you, said something to the effect of, you didn't really want to be here. but if it was your civic duty, you would do it. And I appreciate you all showing up every day, attentive, punctual. It's hard to pay attention to everything. I know we put on a lot, and not every jury does that, frankly. And you all have been really impressive, and I appreciate it. Now, you already did the first part, rendering the verdict that he's guilty of capital murder, according to his plea. That means he will spend the rest of his life in prison. We know that. The prosecutor gave you the list of different charges. Whether or not that gets a death penalty is not about comparing different capital murders. It's not about whether comparing what happened to Athena to a mass murder, or to the murder of a police officer or a judge or anything like that, and which is worse. We've already told you that Texas law is always satisfied with life without parole.
Oh, I completely agree, Trash Panda Mom. They lost the game when they start talking about the Constitution. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely lost when they have to remind the jurors of their juror oath. Oh, remember, you must give a jury verdict under oath. Yeah, they don't need to be reminded that. But yeah, it's very true. They only do this once they know that they are losing, that they're screwed, that there's no way that there's anything they can say to change the jury's mind, except I'm still looking here and the jury is still deliberating. So yeah, let's continue.
Parole for a capital murder. In this case, any case, the worst case you can imagine. We talked about what you would do in the punishment phase is different than the fact-finding phase. It's different than that guilt innocence phase. I told you that it's going to be your individual moral judgment. Now I want to point out to you in your punishment instructions, the judge included some language in here, just what we told you before. Each of you must decide the case for yourself, but only after an impartial consideration of the evidence with your fellow jurors. Remember we talked about what deliberating means. We're attorneys. If we meant for you to argue, to fight, to berate each other, we know what those words are. The judge put it, an impartial consideration of the evidence with your fellow jurors. But he also added, do not give up your honest beliefs as to the weight or effect of the evidence solely because of the opinion of your fellow jurors, or for the mere purpose of answering the special issues. The special issues are how we decide whether or not Tanner gets a death sentence. I am completely satisfied that all of you took your oath and meant.
Look, you can't even see it right now, but Athena's photo is literally just being rested against the thing here. Oh, Helen, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for gifting a membership. Hey, Carol Donati. Please let me know if I butchered your name. Welcome. Welcome to members. Yeah, look at this. It's resting on this thing. He didn't even care to put her up. Oh my God. Has this ever happened before? I've never seen this before. I've never seen a defense take down the photo of a victim.
Now what that means, and I'm only going to talk about special one, is that you have to apply this, whether there's a probability that the defendant would commit criminal acts of violence that would constitute a continuing threat to society. And Susan or I explained to each one of you when we talked individually that this is where that individual moral judgment comes in, that you're going to define what these terms mean, what a probability is, what a criminal act of violence is, what continuing is. And though the prosecutor and a lot of you gave you some suggestions that could be ongoing for continuing acts of violence, could be something, assault, things like that, but that's ultimately going to be up to you.
What? Is he for real? It's going to be up to you what you decide acts of violence are. Acts of violence can mean anything, really. It can mean anything from assault, a beating, You not making me sandwich when I ask you to. He's literally trying to, I don't know, convince the jury that what they believe assault is not really assault. What in the world is this guy doing here? Gotta go back to work. All right, smart survival. See ya. No worries, we'll be here. We're gonna be here. We are still waiting, definitely still waiting to see if the jury will come back. So I will be live for however long it takes. We're waiting to see if they're going to come back. And if they do come back, we're definitely going to be watching the jury and what they decide. We're going to watch their verdict. So yeah, this is so crazy to me. This is so gross. Trying to get the jury to decide, oh, you decide. What do you think assault is? Is assault really violent though? What is violence really? Oh my goodness. They are definitely very desperate. Very, very desperate. Let's continue.
About society being prison, a more secure society than any of us live in day to day. And I'll get back to that in a minute. But remember, this proof has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So I told you before, I gave you the sample.
It has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Do we not have beyond a reasonable doubt that he is a piece of shit? Is that not already agreed upon? Is it just me that needs to be convinced a little further? Oh, here, maybe read this little piece of paper that chicken wrote him. Maybe that'll convince you that he's not a vile, disgusting POS. I don't know what else you can give me to convince me that he doesn't deserve the death penalty. He deserves it. Eye for an eye, okay? Eye for an eye. Of course, my type of justice is just to throw him to general population, is what I would rather do. But since that is not an option, the worst thing that he can get is the death penalty. So because of that, I am for it. Although, again, I will say that there could be worse penalties, right? If he does get life in prison, open the little cell door and allow him to wander off into general population. Just for a day, just for a day. It doesn't even have to be, every day. Just allow him one afternoon. Here, open the little cell for him. Come out, Tanner. You want to meet some new friends? Yeah. Yeah, go meet them. They're all over there. It's called general population. Say hello. Introduce yourself. Tell them that your name is Tanner Horner and tell them why you're here. I think that would be way better, in my opinion. That is the better punishment. But again, that is not an option, so we are rooting for the worst thing that he can get. Let's continue.
All that language is still here. Prosecution has the burden of proving that the answer to special issue number 1 is yes, beyond a reasonable doubt. Frankly, they spent their 2 weeks proving the case that he pled guilty to, talking about lying and waste of resources. They didn't put on any evidence that Tanner Horner is going to be a continuing threat to society in prison. Nothing. Your instructions are you may not answer the special issue number 1 yes unless you agree unanimously. You may not answer it no unless 10 or more jurors. We went over that, 10, 11, or 12 to answer the no. But I just read to you, you're not to give up your individual moral judgment. That's what you need to bring back to the court. So if you don't meet that 10, you don't meet that 12, that's fine. The judge knows what to do. We've already told you, you leave that blank, have the foreperson sign it, and the judge will take care of it. There's no mistrial. There's no hung juries. This was capital punishment and it's different. I do want to talk a little bit, even though Tanner did plead guilty, I do want to talk a little bit about the prosecution's case. He told you his theme was lying. brought it up again. There's nothing about lying on here.
What?
Frankly, go back to creation. Lying was humans' first reaction to getting caught doing something bad.
What?
Deputy Amy handled every piece of physical evidence in this case, handled every photograph. She did something wrong, and she lied, and she lied again, and she lied again, and made it all worse. This isn't about lying. Ranger Espinoza told you he lies as an interrogation technique.
Oh, here we
He
go.
lied in this case to get the information he wanted. This case isn't about lying. You don't get the death sentence for lying.
Yeah, he's not getting the death sentence for lying. That's not why he's facing the death sentence, sir. He's facing the death sentence because he violated a child, killed her, he stomped her to death, beat her, and then strangled her once he realized that she didn't die after he tried to snap her neck. And then he threw her body into the river. That's why he's facing the death penalty, not because he's lying.
There was a theme with our experts. Every one of them, they asked him about insanity. Tanner pled guilty. We didn't raise the not guilty by reason of insanity defense. That was a waste of time. They argued that Tanner wasted resources. But they played you that December 7th video. Now, had I been his attorney on that date, I would have wanted to be there. I don't think it's right that you interrogate somebody after they have an attorney appointed for them, or when they're asking for an attorney. But they did it anyway, and what he did was
Here we go. The Chris Watts defense. Oh, they were being mean to me. They lied to me. They lied to me. They were telling me that they were my friends and that they were going to give me a slice of pizza, and then they betrayed me. They were so mean to me. Judge, can you please let me out because the cops lied to me? Ridiculous. It's the same type of defense here. He's about to get into it on, oh, it's because the deputy just lied to him. Oh, I would not have allowed him to speak to the cops without me present. Feel sorry for him. Loopholes. They're trying to just find all the loopholes. And of course, yes, this is what they do. This is what they do. I know that is their job. Although it does take a very special kind of person to be able to defend these disgusting, vile people. Whether it's your job or not, you know, you always have the choice to accept a case or not. Of course, I know somebody has to do it. It just wouldn't be me. It just wouldn't be me. All right, let's continue. Oh, Julie. Thank you so much. Hey, welcome, V-Bug. Whoop, whoop. Here, let's celebrate. Celebrate. Welcome to members. Yes. And this is the fifth set. Yes, exactly. At least we know of. Exactly. This is just the assaults that we know of. Okay? We're not even considering everything that we don't even know about this guy. So people came forward and spoke on what he had done to them. So again, it's not the first time. Not the first time he's done it. Not his last time had he gotten away with it. So let's just keep that in mind. Let's continue.
offer to plead guilty, to plead no contest, to accept a minimum of life without parole. And he wanted out for Christmas, and they mocked it. He wanted out for Christmas with his son, and they made fun of him. Like that wasn't reasonable. He could have been out that day if he'd had cash.
What? No way. They mocked him. Yeah, no shit, guy. They mocked him because he's trying to make a deal with the police. Oh, if you let me out for a month to spend time with my son for Christmas, I'll give you everything. Yeah, we have a deal. Is it okay if I go spend the holiday with my family? We're going to the Bahamas. Yeah, I'll give you everything after I get back from the Bahamas. Is that okay? Of course, the police are gonna mock him. Are you serious? Why would they not? No, dumbass, you're not going anywhere. You just murdered a child. You think we're gonna allow you to have your holiday party for a month in return of what? Evidence? This is so ridiculous. That's what they're saying, that they mocked him. But really, what they were doing was, yeah, laughing at his face. Guy, no, you can't do that. That is ridiculous. Why would you even request such a thing? The guy here saying, oh, he could have just been back. Had he had money, he would have posted bail. Let's remember the brutality of the crime here. He didn't steal a watermelon from Walmart, okay? Even worse than that, right? He didn't, I don't know, he didn't run over an old lady crossing the street and then, did a just like try to get away with it. No. He willingly, knowingly premeditated the murder of a child. And then he used her and disposed of her like trash. So, of course, he doesn't get little deals here and there. Come on. Come on. They hurt his feelers. Yes. Oh, how dare you hurt my feelings? Christmas is my favorite holiday, police. The audacity. Exactly. Yes, the audacity of this man. If you don't let me out, can you let Zero out? He's my alter ego. And then Zero comes in. Hello, my name is Zero. And you just see the little thing spinning in the front of his head. Because that's why he called himself Zeros, because he has 0 brain cells. Let's continue.
He had a bond. Him going home from Christmas was not unreasonable. Beginning a negotiation with an offer and an ask is what happens every time. Most cases in America don't go to trial. They're pled out. Now the answer can be, no, we want you to plead guilty. No, we're not going to agree to a lower bond. That's what negotiation is. Frankly, if you go to buy a house tomorrow, you're going to make an offer of what you're willing to pay for it, and you're going to ask for the refrigerator, or for closing costs, or for something else. And the other party may say no, and you may still end up buying the house. This case could have been over in December of 2022. No one took it seriously. I don't even know if it went to the prosecutors. Definitely didn't get to a judge. That wasn't ridiculous. Now, yeah, you've seen his videos. Everything Tanner does is off. So maybe they didn't take him seriously because when he made his offer, he sounded weird. Oh, of course we're not going to let you out for Christmas. He could have been out that day. $1.5 million bond. It's America. If he had cash, he would have been walking. So to mock him for it is frankly, it's ridiculous. I deal with a lot of clients that don't know how to negotiate. That's why the attorney should have been there.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe I'm listening to this. Wow. Well, he should have been able to negotiate. Negotiate what? He should not even be around his son. He should not be around his child. Go check if he's okay. Because if this man has sexually assaulted many people before, they need to check if his son is okay. You can't trust this man around any child. That's probably why the sick fuck wanted to go back home for the holidays. So disgusting. It's crazy that that's the first thing he thinks about. It's not like he actually cared about his son and his family. If he did, he would have never murdered an innocent child. Because now he's going to go away for life and possibly be put to death. If he cared, he wouldn't be in this situation, but he doesn't. He doesn't care. He's a disgusting psychopath. This guy displays all of the 3 dark triad traits, which is narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. That is what all this guy displays. All of his lies, the reason that he came up with an alter ego, all of it is because he was trying to find a way to get out of it. All of it was his alibi. He's very, very smart. I don't know why they're trying to make him seem like this guy has no brain cells. Of course, he doesn't, right? But he was smart enough to be able to think ahead. He was smart enough to know to pull over and clean the FedEx truck before dropping it off. He knows all these things. He's definitely smart enough to know what he did. And so again, now this guy's like, "Oh, poor guy. I can't believe the police were mocking him. Oh, I'm such a bully." He's trying to get some sympathy from the jury.
The other thing that's kind of frustrated me in this case is and I hate to belabor it, but kind of the misrepresentation of some of the evidence. Going back to the medical examiner's report, and you have all these reports. So if you're interested in any of them, you want to look at it, you can. The medical examiner testified and put in her report, the external genitalia, anus, and perineum are unremarkable. No trauma is appreciated on the vagina, or the vaginal labia, or within the vaginal vault. The vaginal hymen is present, intact, and unremarkable. No trauma is appreciated within the anus or the perianal skin. Prosecutors and medical people are allowed to tell you that evidence of sexual assault in a medical examiner's report is proof, but absence of it is not disproof. That's illogical, but that's how that is. No fractures were palpable within the facial bones. No fractures anywhere in her body. The other thing that isn't in her report, but she testified to, was that her autopsy tech did the DNA, the swab for the DNA. She testified here that her tech swabbed inside and out. There are no swabs of inside the cavities. There weren't separate swabs. Why that matters is when you actually read the DNA reports, and I'm only going to bring up 3 of them because that's all that really mattered. There's a lot of reports that he had DNA on his own clothes. Whatever. Starting with this April 19th, 2023 report. Casada testified to it. She had to do it within 90 days to see if this was a sex assault case or not.
What is this guy trying to convince people of here? He's really just he's fumbling. He is grasping at straws here. Okay. Yeah, Tammy. Sorry guys, he's got me feeling angry. Yes. He's grasping at straws here. He's trying to explain that this wasn't really fully a sexual assault because, there's like things that didn't get done. What? What? And I mean, also has zero enthusiasm. He has the personality of lead paint, this man. Zero personality. He's definitely struggling. He's looking at his notes. He's like, yeah. Yeah, something about swabbing the inside. It wasn't done. Yeah, it's not really real assault. But anyway, zero enthusiasm, and everything he's saying is just bullshit. Of course, bullshit. He's trying his very best to make it seem like it wasn't really that serious what Tanner did. Wow. After seeing that video, the jury should have zero empathy. Yes, I have a good predator radar, and this attorney needs his devices checked. I feel lightheaded right now and ill. Yes, it was on his mind a long time ago. Yes, if you shave the defense's head, he could pass for the Addams family. Yes, love it, guys. Yeah, isn't this insane that this guy is really grasping at straws here? He's like, let me just find what else can I say? Oh yeah, he has ADHD. What else? Yeah, also he has fetal alcohol syndrome. Okay? And he says it with the dead eye look. Believe me when I say that Tanner Horner has mental issues. As if that's supposed to convince a jury of anything. If anything, it's just convinced me that he's also insane. Let's continue. Oh, thank you. Vida Beep. Thank you so much. Oh, everybody, welcome. Welcome to members. Welcome. Let's celebrate. Welcome, everybody.
The phrases epithelial cell fraction and sperm cell fraction don't mean what you think they mean. Tells you right in this report. Casada testified to it. Epithelial cell fraction could contain semen. Sperm cell fraction can contain skin cells. The notations of epithelial cell fraction and sperm cell fraction are for sample tracking purposes only and are not intended to indicate the source of the DNA.
Why do we care?
This April 2023,
Why do we care about any of this guy?
the likelihood ratio indicates support for the proposition that the suspect is excluded as a possible contributor to the profile. So this first DNA sample excluded, it was someone else's DNA. He also put in here, remember Casada testified to this, and I think Ferreira too. The only way to figure out if a sample is semen is to look under a microscope for sperm cells. They didn't do that. This first report in April 2023 tells them, please note that no testing to confirm the presence of semen was conducted on the vaginal swabs. If testing to confirm the presence of semen is needed, please contact this laboratory for instructions. That's how you would have figured it out. Nobody did that. Then they come back with a supplemental report.
Oh my goodness. This guy's so absolutely ridiculous. This is his closing argument. Are you serious? He's explaining the difference between biological fluids. That's what he's doing here. Everybody gather around. Let's talk biology right now. Everybody get a chair. Biology lesson, everybody. This is not actually semen. Yeah, it's too much it's too watery. What in the world? What is going on? This is so desperate. Oh, I can't even stand to hear this. Should we just fast forward? I can't stand it. I can't stand to hear how he's trying to make it seem like one thing isn't because of BS. Should we fast forward this, guys? I don't really care to hear his excuses right now. I know that it's important because here, let's just go ahead and listen to it.
This update is not due to an error in previous testing. It's just a repeat of that April 2023 report 2.5 years later. So 2.5 years later, and they tell you, which is fair, I guess, that this is just wordplay. At the request of the Wise County District Attorney's Office, this supplemental report communicates the results using new guidelines implemented on November 28, 2023, involving the addition of verbal scale qualifiers. So they come back around, print the same report, but this time.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and fast forward. All right, a few of you have said to fast forward because it is so stupid. I cannot. If this is all he's gonna do, I don't want to listen to it. Anything other than just telling me what the difference of one thing is, just shut up. I just don't want to hear it anymore. Ugh. Eric Isa, thank you so much. Such a bad case. We need justice for Athena. Yes, justice here is the death penalty, the death sentence. That is what full justice for him is, for Athena and for this guy. That is his full punishment. He reminds me of Potato Head doing his lecture. Yes. Fangs ablaze, welcome. Welcome to members. Yeah, I cannot stand to hear this anymore. All right, I'm with you guys. All right, let's go ahead and fast forward it a little bit. They're going to have an announcement in 15 minutes. Okay, guys. Yes, the jury is deliberating right now, and I have them up. All right, in 15 minutes. 15 minutes, guys. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
plenty of people, female, male, volunteers, religious meetings. You've heard, obviously, every expert who brought up here, he went to visit them, but transported for his brain scans, transported between the jails, transported to court. No write-ups with either group of people. No write-ups in either jail. Then, yesterday we got to hear someone who's actually putting these kind of ideas into practice. Director Fitzpatrick is in charge of classification. He told you his top priority is public safety. Safety of staff, safety of visitors, safety of inmates. 142,000 inmates plus in TDCJ right now. 30,000 employees. 29,000 approved visitors. If all of them were subject to violence, that wouldn't be true. We'd have 29,000 volunteers. Director Fitzpatrick told you he uses evidence-based practices to classify people to determine where to house them based on their needs, but number one, based on safety.
All right, guys. All right. Looks like we are back. All right, we're going to go ahead and play the trial, the actual not the trial, but the sentencing.
Maitland there in the courtroom. We have been told that there will be an announcement soon. This jury's been deliberating since about shortly before noon. We don't know if they actually took a lunch break.
Right.
We know that they came back and they asked for a letter that was written by an inmate to Tanner Horner, the guy that was in the cell next door. We know they asked for videos, and we know they asked for the rape kit.
Right.
But we think they've got a verdict. What do you think about this, Terry?
Yeah, well, I'm surprised because there was so much evidence, so much testimony, but I'm not surprised because it was such a clear-cut case of premeditation, calculation, deviance, and murder. So I'm not surprised.
Absolutely. And let me introduce my guests here. I've got attorneys Terry Bentley Hill and Cody Skipper. They're joining us. We're also, for the folks out there that are watching us on TV, we're also live on the live stream. We've been going gavel to gavel. So we've been watching this trial the entire time. Terry has seen a lot of it. Cody has seen a lot of it. Are either of you surprised that we're getting a verdict? It looks like we're getting a verdict this fast.
No, not with this amount of evidence and these.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting a verdict pretty soon here. I think it did last a little bit longer than it should have, but here we are.
I have ever seen a case with this much overwhelming evidence. The videos, the confessions, his internet searches, just everything up and down the line. And then, of course, we had the surprise testimony yesterday during the prosecution's rebuttal from his cousin,
Right.
who said he had sexually assaulted him when he was a little boy.
Yes, I would say that the investigation of this case was top-notch. It was a combination of law enforcement departments. It was the sheriff department in Wise County. It was the FBI. It was the DPS Rangers. It was an incredible job of investigation, and they handled this case very well, in my opinion.
Wow, cousin. He did that to his cousin. This is so disgusting. This man was a predator. It's crazy that he was allowed to be out this whole time.
With regard to that special issue number 1, whether or not he is a continuing threat, a future danger, and assuming that all 12 agree, that's got to be a unanimous decision. Then you go to special issue number 2, and that's the question of whether or not there's any mitigation evidence that was put forth that would justify a non-death sentence. And if the answer to that is unanimously no, then you have your verdict for an execution date. And if obviously if it's yes, or they're hung up on the first one, then it's going to be life without parole. But the main issues here, obviously all the lies that this defendant told, the violent way that he kidnapped this beautiful young girl and murdered her, and that horrible audio that the jury and the people in the courtroom had to hear when he did that, and his
Yep.
lack of remorse up until this day, and his fluid defensive theories that changed up until the
Right.
time of final argument. So all those combined, it's a mountain of evidence, and there's a reason why the death penalty exists in the state.
Yeah, and it's my experience.
Yeah, exactly. He's showing zero remorse up until this point. And that's the thing with this, is that up until the point of closing arguments, he was still trying to make it seem like, oh, it was zero, it was this reason, it was that reason. It was everything except him. Zero accountability to this day. And that's something that the jury really has to take into consideration, is that he has zero remorse. And this guy, his name is Cody. He mentioned that the jury is gonna have to decide whether or not he is a threat to society or whether he would be in the future. Of course he is. Sex offenders cannot be rehabilitated. He has been doing this since he was a young guy, is what it sounds like. He's been doing this to his cousins, so he's not gonna change. It is in his nature. He is a predator. They cannot be rehabilitated. Okay. There's zero rehabilitation. Of course, he poses a threat to children and other people. There's no way that he's not a threat, and that if we put him away, he's going to all of a sudden be rehabilitated. No, absolutely not. That's not going to happen.
In my mind that we're going to have a verdict here in a few minutes.
Yeah, in fact, we're seeing, they're just coming up on moving into that state of Texas seal. My sense of, since we've got people gathered, Athena's family and people already gathered back in that courtroom, is that we'll see that jury come in. This whole thing is, but part of what happens when a verdict comes back is that there's a process of gathering everybody up. And it takes a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes to get everybody together and then get them into this courtroom. Now, once we get that verdict, then afterwards, we're going to see victim impact statements. And we have been told that at least 2 members of Athena Strand's family will give victim impact statements. I'm making a guess that it might be her mother might be one of them. I don't know who the other one would be. Her mother and father also, they've been so eloquent, their testimony just, gut-wrenching to listen to these parents and to see that the photo of that beautiful little girl. And for you folks out there, this part of what makes this case so extraordinary really truly is the amount of evidence. I cannot ever recall a case where you have a murder captured on video and audio quite the way this was. And then to have the video afterwards, and of course for the folks out there that don't know this,
Yeah.
Terry was in the courtroom and heard that audio and saw those images, and just how do you think that's affected the jury as they went into their decision making, Terry?
When they were playing the audio, it was the audio in the interior of the FedEx van, and you could hear what was going on in the van. You could hear the conversation that Athena was having with the defendant. You could hear what he was saying back to her. You heard the obviously when he was had his hands around her neck, you could hear that. You could hear also other ways that he was harming her. So it was bone chilling to hear that, and it went on for an hour. So it wasn't immediate. It wasn't just 2 minutes. It was an hour, and we heard every second of what happened to Athena, and that is very unusual. Normally, you don't have a minute by minute, second by second, bird's eye view of the actual crime, of the actual murder.
That is
There we
stunning.
are.
And then, of course, just the video. Okay, we see the judge on the stand. They're going into that holdover room. I would expect Tanner Horner will be walking out any minute, and I really think we're about to get a verdict. I really do. I really think that is
Here we
what is
go. Here we
coming.
go.
And we'll see what they're deciding. But yeah, that video, you know, and again, it's not just the video of the killing, it's the video that you see afterwards of him going to that Love's truck stop and cleaning the vehicle. And then the next day, he's delivering FedEx packages. He's gone back to work as if nothing's happening, right? And then we heard testimony from his grandma saying that, hey, I know you're working out in paradise, that a little girl went amiss. Keep on the lookout. And he texts back and says, yeah, hey, I'll do that.
Right, and he was frustrated when he couldn't get past the search committee
Right.
there at the road so he could deliver his packages. Yeah, so it wasn't just exclusively what happened before, during, and after. It's everything.
Yeah. Even in jail letters.
Here he comes.
There's Tanner Horner. Waiting to see.
All right, we're about to see him.
His verdict. You can.
All right, guys,
tell
we're
by the
about
look
to
on his
see it.
face.
Right.
He knows that this jury has made this decision. Okay.
Court has received notification from the jury that they have reached a verdict. Both sides ready to receive the verdict?
Ready, Your Honor.
Ladies, there will be no reactions to the verdict. All right? Let's go to work.
All right, here we go. Moment we've all been waiting for.
Everyone may be seated. Good afternoon. Mr. Presiding Juror, it is my understanding the jury has reached a verdict on both issues. Okay, if you'd hand it please to Deputy King. Answers to special issues. Special issue number 1, whether there is a probability that the defendant would commit criminal acts of violence that would constitute a continuing threat to society. Answer, we, the jury, unanimously find beyond a reasonable doubt that the answer to special issue number 1 is yes, signed by the presiding juror. Special issue number 2, whether taking into consideration all the evidence, including the circumstances of the offense, the defendant's character and background, and the personal moral culpability of the defendant, there is a sufficient mitigating circumstance or circumstances to warrant that a sentence of life imprisonment without parole rather than a death sentence be imposed. Answer, we, the jury, unanimously find that the answer to special issue number 2 is no, signed by the presiding juror. Does either side desire a poll?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Anderson, Mr. Goebel, is there any legal reason why sentence should not be pronounced?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Horner, if you'd stand, please. It's the order of the court that you, Tanner Lynn Horner, has been adjudged to be guilty of the offense of capital murder as found by the jury. Jury having answered the special issues, making it mandatory that your punishment be death, it is therefore the order of this court that your punishment be death. Before the hour of sunrise on a date to be determined by this court, upon a mandate of affirmance issued by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals at the State Penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas, you will be caused to die in accordance with the rules and regulations established by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice until you, said Tanner Horner, are dead. Said execution procedure shall be determined and supervised by the Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The clerk of this court shall issue a death warrant in accordance with this sentence directed to the Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for that purpose. Clerk shall deliver such warrant to the Sheriff of this county and to be by him delivered to the Director of the Department of Criminal Justice, together with you, and you will remain to the custody of the Tarrant County Jail to await transportation to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice at Huntsville, Texas, and the execution of this sentence. I will sign this death sentence as required by law. Your appeal of the finding of this guilt by the jury and their determination of the answers to the question in this sentence are automatically appealed to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin, Texas. You will be appointed a lawyer to represent you on direct appeal, and your lawyer will receive a copy of the record of this charge, of this case at no charge. You have the right to have a second lawyer to represent you on writs of habeas corpus. It's a separate matter from your direct appeal. Do you wish to have counsel appointed for your writ purposes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I will appoint you writ lawyers for that. Ms. Anderson, Mr. Goebel, if you will remain on his case pending his decision, and we have all the appellate paperwork filled out, I have received his acknowledgement certification of the right to appeal, and I appreciate you doing that. You may be seated. Is there an allocution?
Oh my God. This is.
He may speak. He may speak from wherever he feels the most comfortable.
I'm Elijah Strand. I'm Jacob's brother, Athena's uncle. There are no words that truly capture the devastation that Tanner Horner caused us and our family. What he took from this world was not just a child. He took a life, a future, and a piece of every single person who loved him. He took a granddaughter, a daughter, a niece, a cousin, and a friend. She would call me Uncle Elijah because she, for the longest time, couldn't say the Elijah part of my name. It was the best thing to see her running up to me with her arms open, yelling, "Uncle Elijah." And that's one of my last memories I have of her. And now I get to never hear that again. Athena was more than a headline. She was laughter, curiosity, kindness, and innocence. And she had dreams that she will never get to chase, birthdays that she will never celebrate, and a life she'll never get to live because of his actions. Our family has been left with an emptiness that can never be filled. I have 3 daughters, 2 that got to meet her and grow with her, and 1 that'll never meet. And he took that away from them as well, a cousin and a friend. He stole a sense of safety from all of us in our family. Me and my wife just got comfortable enough to let our kids play outside, and that's even in our backyard. It's not close to the road. He's robbed us of safety, peace, and our trust in the world, and forever changed who we are as a family. Our trust, she was laughter, curiosity, and forever changed who we are as a family. And she had dreams that she will never get to chase. Birthdays, and your questions that will still never have answers. And we are left trying to honor a beautiful little girl whose life was taken in the most senseless and horrific way. Tanner Horner, I want you to hear this directly. You did not just take a life, you destroyed a family. You took a little girl who trusted the world and repaid that innocence with violence. You chose to cause pain that will last generations. You say you found God, but what you did to Athena stands in direct opposition to everything that you now claim to believe. In Matthew 18:6, it says, if anyone causes one of these little ones to stumble, it would be better for them to have a millstone hung around their neck than to be drowned. That is how seriously harm against a child is judged. And you will be judged. You will face the wrath of God. But I want you to know that you are nothing. You are a footnote in Athena's story. Her name will forever be remembered. Her name will forever be celebrated, and everyone will forget you. You wanted your 15 minutes of fame. You got it, and no one's going to remember you after this.
Mr. Staten, any other allocutions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
He's your prisoner, Sheriff. Ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude your service as jurors. I bet in December, don't sit down.
Thank you, Judge.
In December, that you go in that mailbox and saw a jury summons and you never thought you'd be involved in this, okay? Well, here we are 6 months later, and I thank you. And also in your presence, I want to thank the lawyers. Lawyers in real life don't behave like they do on television, okay? Mr. Staten, Mr. Berry, Ms. Dewell, Mr. Lapham, all the members of the staff, they represent the citizens of Wise and Jack County. And I hope that those citizens have had a chance to watch their work because I appreciate it. Ms. Anderson and Mr. Goebel are members of the Regional Public Defender's Office out of Lubbock. That is a government corporation that provides representation to people who are accused of capital murder where the state is seeking the death penalty in counties that have 100,000 in population or less. And that is 195 counties in the state. And all these lawyers do is death penalty cases. So think about that. What they had done in this case, they have to do it in 194 other counties. The professionalism that they demonstrated to each other, the courtesy that they demonstrated to each other makes me a better judge, and I thank you. I thank the sheriff and his staff, bailiffs, and the rock in this room is the lady that's sitting right here in front of me. If y'all will retire to your jury room, I'll be back with some final instructions. Okay, thank you very much. All right. We are adjourned. Let me see counsel.
Well, there we have it. the jury got it right. They got it right in this case, and we have justice. We have justice for Athena Strand. The jury got it right, guys. This is definitely one of the most disgusting, one of the most vile cases that I've ever read about, and it's it just makes me so happy to see that the criminal justice system still works, and it is just such a devastating case. The entire thing from beginning to end was just absolutely despicable. But I'm so happy to see justice. This is Athena's mom. Let's go ahead and listen in. I'm just so happy that the jury didn't buy any of the defense attorney's BS. I'm so happy that they didn't buy any of the autism and all of the ADHD and whatever else they were trying to say contributed to this crime, because as we know, none of those things were contributors. Whether you have some type of autism or you're, neurodivergent, none of these are excuses for committing such a grisly crime like this. This is absolutely the worst thing ever. And this is just us knowing the facts based on what has been presented to us, right? We haven't luckily, right? And I would say it's a good thing that we will never be able to see the footage or listen to it, but even just the description alone, that's all we need to know that this was a vile and disgusting crime against a 7-year-old girl. They mentioned that this has been it's very rare, right? It's very rare to have actual footage, even if he closed the door to the camera, right? So he was in the back and he was able to shut that door that shows you to the back of the truck. Even though he was able to do that, there's still footage that captured everything that happened, and that is very rare in a lot of these criminal cases. I mean, even with Chris Watts, we do have a lot of digital evidence, but we don't have the actual moment when he murdered Shanann or he murdered his girls. And in this case, we have that. The jury was able to listen in, and I can't only imagine what they had to listen to, and here we are. I'm just very, very glad that they weren't able to be fully convinced of the defense and their arguments, right? It feels good. It feels really, really good to see justice. In this case, we still have so many other cases. There's another one ongoing, and we hope to see justice in that as well. And as we know, we still continue to fight for justice for Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico. And let's just hope. This does give me hope, though. I will say it does make me, um, I don't know. It does restore a little bit of the faith in the criminal justice system. Very little, right? Very little faith that I have left in the justice system. But this case here and what we just witnessed does give me a little bit of hope.
irrelevant,
We
and
will-
it's going to eat at.
We will forget his name. We will never forget Athena Strand, but we will forget his name. I've been impressed by this family and how they have held their composure in the courtroom. The judge even acknowledged Athena's mother in the courtroom. And, you know, I want to acknowledge Athena's father as well. He's been through a lot. He lost 50 pounds. He just was devastated by this. You can only imagine. So it has rocked the entire family. And I really have a lot of admiration for how they handled themselves in this courtroom.
Oh, I agree, V-Bug. The defense told the jury what the verdict was by taking down her photo. Yeah, I think by that point, the jury had already made up their minds. They had all of the facts. They had listened to what he did to Athena. So there's very little that the defense attorney could have done except for just ruin their case even more. That's the thing is that they were so desperate, they were grasping at straws that they didn't even realize that they're taking down Athena's photo and they're just making a fool of themselves. We actually don't know. We actually don't know that there was no digital evidence for the Watts case because it never followed up. That's very true, Boops. Yes, there probably wasn't, but we don't know what was deleted. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's very true. We don't even know. The truth is that a lot of even Nicole Kessinger's phone records, right? Even her phone records, we are missing so much of that paperwork. So we don't even really know. We don't even know because a lot of things were deleted. But yeah, let's go ahead. I want to, now that we have the news, now that we have the good news that Tanner Horner has been found absolutely guilty and competent of everything that he did, and so he has been sentenced to the death penalty. Now that we know that, let's go ahead and continue watching the closing arguments because again, I do just want to talk about this because I just want to listen to what the defense says and how they were defending their client, given all of the facts that we have in this case. Now, the reason really that the defense is here trying their very best is because this is the last chance that they have before the jury goes and deliberates. And as we know, now that we have the results, now that we have the verdict, let's go ahead and see what he was actually trying to do. Let's see what he was trying to get the jury and their verdict to be.
Takes a holistic approach, looking at medical, looking at mental health, looking at history, criminology, trying to rehabilitate there's drug issues, trying to do vocational training, do education, all those things that would hold you back and might bring you back to prison. Let 50,000 out, 56,000 in. He's thinking about that all the time. Individual treatment plans for rehabilitation. Complete medical and mental health workups before they do the classifications to know what they need, where they're going to need to be housed. 34 facilities that all have different ways to house somebody. There's a classification profile for each inmate that's constantly updated. Incentive programs. They try to make like parole is the only incentive. It's not. Where you're housed, whether you can work, freedom to move about. Those are all incentives. I remember I told you, yes, this is a society, but it's not our society. This society has 24/7 security. It has trained staff. It has appropriate screening for the visitors. Trying to make it sound like they're walking around there. No, mass movement is when a group of people have a place to be, and they have to be moving to where they're supposed to be. Otherwise, individually, you have to have that path and be going where you're supposed to be going. It's not a free-for-all. And ultimately, their expert said they have a reasonable and effective way to house someone who's been sentenced to life without parole while ensuring the safety of the public, the staff, those visitors, and the inmates. Did have one point of contention. Tanner's friend Murderous testified. And I will tell you, I've had a lot of cases where someone was supposed to testify that was in the jail with my client. It's the first time it's ever happened. I'm glad it did. I found him interesting. But he disagreed with Director Fitzpatrick that there are predators and prey in prison. He said there are wolves and sheep. And to his face, he kind of had to describe his friend Tanner as an itty-bitty little baby lamb. He's trying to prepare him for what he's moving into. But you've heard what a struggle that is.
No, 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 no. You see what they were trying to do here? Yeah, he did. He did get the death penalty. He did. He got the death penalty. The jury returned the verdict that he deserves the death sentence. But notice what he was trying to do here. He's trying to make it sound like Tanner was this itty bitty little lamb. Oh, we need to prep him for what he's about to endure in prison. The man is almost 300 pounds. He was 267, around there, 260, 270 something pounds. And the victim, a 7-year-old girl, was 67 pounds. But here, the defense was trying to make him seem like he's a little itty bitty lamb. Oh, he needs protection. Oh, he's never been in prison like this before. He's gonna suffer. He's a little lamb. Oh, please. A lamb? A lamb doesn't do that to children.
And finally, you don't have to believe any of these. You've seen it with your own eyes. The state played all these videos for you. You've seen what Tanner's like around authority figures, around security. You can see how threatening they thought he was. The arrest video, completely compliant, no resistance, does exactly what they tell him. He asked about maybe moving his cuffs because they were uncomfortable. They just took his cuffs off. Don't worry about him. Standing there, drawing on the board, they're standing right next to him. I don't even do that always with all of my clients because you never know.
Yeah, because he's a child predator. Hello? Yeah. He's saying that, oh, Tanner is not threatening whatsoever. The cops removed his handcuffs and they were standing next to him. They were not afraid of him at all. He posed no threat. Yeah, that's because he's a child predator. He preys on children, not police officers. If he was a police officer murderer, then yes. Maybe the police would probably be afraid of him. But they're not afraid of him because he only preys on children. He preys on vulnerable people. People who are way smaller than him. Children who can't fight back. That's why they removed the cuffs, because he's not a threat to grown men. He's a threat to little children. Exactly. Don't worry, he won't attack an adult. Exactly, Britt. He's not going to attack an adult. That's what makes him such a disgusting coward, is that he wanted to know what it feels like to murder someone, but he didn't attack a grown man his size. I would have loved to see him go against Edmund Kemper. Ed Kemper, he is a serial killer. He's like 6'9" or something. Really, really big, huge guy, probably bigger than that. I would have loved to see him, Tanner, go against Ed Kemper.
Some that are dangerous. Tanner's not. They stood right beside him. Nobody was worried. They drove him around looking for Athena. No incidents. They put him in the front seat.
Yeah, again, he only attacks children.
Stood outside chatting with him about Waffle House, smoking a cigarette. Nobody's worried.
Yeah, because there are no children around. There's no children around. This guy's like, oh, Tanner was walking around smoking a cigarette. No one worried. That's because none of the police officers' kids were riding along. Hello.
And while I tried to give you evidence, the state played those videos for you. Ultimately, the burden's on them. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Tanner Horner is going to be a continuing threat to society in a prison setting with this classification, G3, with their constant workups, with the many housing options they have, that he's going to be a continuing threat to society, and he just isn't. So that's where we come back to that oath that you all took to follow the law. And this is the law. The law isn't.
Yeah, exactly, Boops. Yes, most predators and rapists don't act like a ghoul in public. They want you to drop your defenses. Exactly. They're not going to be acting a fool and acting like a murderous psychopath in front of police officers, obviously. Again, yeah, this defense attorney trying very, very hard. Oh, he's a big man, and they were not afraid of him. They drove around with him riding shotgun. They were not afraid of him. Yeah, no shit. It's because he's not going around murdering cops.
That you get the death sentence because that capital murder was worse than the other capital murders. They're all terrible. This one is terrible. But he will spend the rest of his life in prison for it.
Sanderson.
The way that this psychopath stared at the uncle, I wanted to gouge his eyes out. Just boop, pluck them out. Just, here you go, Tanner. Here's your eyeball. You want it? You want it? Oh, play catch. Here. Ah, you missed. That's what I wanted to do. But yeah, this disgusting guy, the way that he was staring. He does the same thing with the eyeballs, just like Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger. He was doing the whole thing with his eyeballs. He's a psychopath, this guy. The way he was staring at the uncle, talk about Athena and how everybody missed her and how this man destroyed whole families. All he could do was stare back. Zero emotion, not a single tear did we see from Tanner. All he could do was stare back, soulless, lifeless, just blinking. I don't know what that was about. To me, it was he didn't want to give away, in my opinion, what he was thinking, but I think to him that was the last moment of power. That is what I got from Tanner doing that. It was his last moment to see someone suffer because of what he did. So it's like his very last minute at sucking the soul out of people before he goes and spends the rest of his life in a little tiny jail cell. Because as we know, he's not actually going to get executed, right? I mean, yeah. We know that the criminal justice system has its flaws, and that's one of them is that we're never going to see this guy actually get executed because death row has a very long wait list. And so the best we can hope for at this point is some little inmate justice. Inmate justice is the best we can hope for him.
Good morning.
Where's Athena's photo? Is it still on the floor? It looks like Athena's photo has been completely removed. Now we have the other defense attorney come in and This is the one. She's the one that mentions hemorrhoids as a reason why we shouldn't put Tanner to death. Don't put him to death. When he sits down, it's gonna hurt his bum. That's pain enough. I think that's enough punishment, his hemorrhoids. As if that's enough punishment. If he gets commissary, he's just gonna be able to get the cream, right? Whoever sends him commissary, hey, can I get an extra $5 this week? I need to put it on my bum. That's what this lady was trying to say. Let's feel sorry for him. He's gonna suffer the rest of his life sitting.
I'm here to talk to you about special issue number 2. I promise you I'm not going to sit up here and rehash the experts' testimony. You have the reports, you have their notes, you heard what they said from the witness stand. I'm also not going to stand up here and rehash all the evidence. You heard the evidence. And if you have questions about what the evidence showed, you have the absolute right to come, to knock on that door and ask the judge, hey, we have a question about that evidence. But when it comes to special issue number 2, we're talking about the mitigation aspect of it. And we only get to special issue number 2 if each and every one of you has decided that the state has proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt that Tanner Horner is a continuing threat to society. Only if all 12 of you agree will we even get to this part.
And they did. And they did. All 12 of them agreed. Justice. Lori Darnell. Narcissist and delusional. Yes, I love a good roast. All right. I love roasting evil people. Idiots. Evil idiots. It's my best type of roast. Send them over. Let's roast them all. Yes, we need a poll. What cases Rock should do? Yes, guys. Yes. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Actually, I do want to put up a poll so that we can watch some of these cases together, and so that we can have a roast session. Yay! Yeah, let's go ahead and have a roast session. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and write that down because I did want to do that last time, and I think it just completely skipped my mind. All right, so a poll on other cases. All right. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Whatever case, whatever moron, whatever evil villain we want to go ahead and roast next, we'll do it. Absolutely. It's fun. It's always fun roasting these people. The evil ones. Yeah, let's continue.
But in order to understand this, in order to understand the importance of mitigation, especially in this case, you have to understand child development. Because understanding how a child develops is key to understanding the man Tanner is today, but also the person that was in that van on November 30th of 2022. Tanner's problems began before he was even born. And we know that child development begins in utero. So Tanner's mother drank alcohol heavily during that first 8-week period of her pregnancy. We also know that she smoked cigarettes. We also know that she smoked marijuana.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's blame it on Mother Dearest, right? Let's go ahead. And I do understand why the defense is doing this, right? When we look at serial killers and murderers, family annihilators, we also do want to look at their upbringing. We want to look at their childhood, and even in the case of Chris Watts, we look at how he was brought up in that family dynamic, and especially with Cindy Watts and Ronnie Watts. And so we do know that their upbringing is a contributing factor. And so that's what the defense is doing here. Now, of course, keeping in mind that certain things, even, we talk about Chris Watts all the time. Even with Chris Watts, right? There's only so little blame that you can put on the parents before you actually realize that this man is a grown adult and they decide what they do, right? But I do understand the importance of understanding their upbringing and any childhood trauma that might contribute to with whatever's going on in that tiny little pea-sized brain of theirs. But here, she's going to talk about fetal alcohol syndrome. She already mentioned the cigarettes and, uh, smoking marijuana. And she's just going to go down the list of all of the things that contributed to him being a child murderer slash rapist, which, again, just how much of it can contribute to that until we start blaming the actual man that did it. He was 31 at the time of the murder. Okay, he was 31, 30, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 31. So yeah, and he had a job. He had a full-time job as a FedEx worker. So how much can we blame this on fetal alcohol syndrome and cigarette smoke from the mom? How much of it can we blame? Let's continue.
And the result in this case was a diagnosis of fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. Now, FASD is a neurodevelopmental disorder that is characterized by emotional dysregulation, cognitive impairments, problem-solving abilities, and other issues. Now, how do we know that FASD is a valid diagnosis? It was supported by the testing. It was supported by imaging. You have the reports, you can read those. The fact that he was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome disorder is uncontroverted. There are several phases to
Right, exactly. We've all been traumatized. We all have trauma. We've all gone through something in our lives, and we don't all grow up to become psychopathic killers. All right. Yes, Gary. Yeah, gotta blame the herb. Let's leave ganja out of it. Exactly. Anything except blaming the actual perpetrator. Oh, the cigarettes. I know someone very close to me actually who smoked cigarettes her whole life while she was pregnant with someone, and the person that was born is fine. Yeah, and my cousin. My cousin, she's a little loopy, I will say she's a little weird, but she's not a psycho killer. Again, not a murderer. None of these things make you a murderer. How many children, okay, how many children are born with these issues? Fetal alcohol syndrome and, you know, other things. Not all of them become child murderers. Just ridiculous.
child development. We know that it begins in utero, but once you're born, you have to learn to explore your own world. Now, where does this happen? When a child is born, their parents are the world. From your parents, you learn love, you learn safety, you learn security. But what happens to a child that doesn't have all of those? Now, again, it's undisputed that his mother loved him very much. But did she have the ability to provide security? Did she have the ability to provide safety? She didn't. During this crucial part of his development, rather than providing him that security and safety, what did his mother do? Left a 10-month-old child, baby, with a 10-year-old cousin to babysit. Not just for a few hours, not just late into the evening, but overnight, and for multiple days at a time.
Okay. So his mom left him at home with a cousin because it sounds like she's a single mom and she needs to work. The mom is a single mom. Where's dad at? Where's Tanner's dad? Why is he not helping? Where's he at? Sounds like she's a single mom. She can't handle it. She had the baby and now she's struggling. She's struggling to make ends meet. She's struggling to find care for him. And the defense attorney is bringing up all of these as contributing factors. The fact that his mom was a single mother and she couldn't be around to give him love and affection. Yes, Tammy. Yeah. He's been treated, but the thing is, you can't blame the parents for decisions made from this freak. Exactly. No matter what, he had free will. Exactly. Yeah, we can only look so much into their upbringing until we have to blame the individual himself. We can look into why the mom was drinking, why was she a single mom, why wasn't she able to do this? Regardless, it doesn't matter. It does not matter because he was still a grown man who was able to hold a job. He was disgusting, and of course, he lived in a pigsty and he was a hoarder. But besides that, he's able to pay bills. He was a taxpayer. He had a son. He had a relationship. So the fetal alcohol syndrome and the cigarettes, it did not affect his ability to be a functioning adult in society. It had no it did not affect his ability to be an adult at all. Zero excuse.
Now, the babysitter, even at that young age, realized that something was just a little off with Tanner. He wasn't like the other kids. One minute he was running around like the Tasmanian devil, and at other times he would put himself in timeout and face the corner and be still. But the other thing she noticed is he liked to eat coins. She had to put them up on the shelf so he could not get to these coins. He loved to eat coins and then go to the bathroom, poop them out, and then try to fish them out and do it all over again. She had to hide the change because he was his own ATM machine. And that's important because, according to the experts, that was also indicative of ADHD.
What? Uh-huh. Wow. I wish my ADHD made me an ATM machine. I would never have to go to the bank. I would just be like, here's $1, sir. Oh, how much? Oh, you said $5? All right, give me a second. All right, there you go. Yeah, no problem. You can just wipe it off. It's fine. It's fine. Don't smell it. Just wipe it off. Could you imagine? Somehow the ADHD makes him swallow coins. He liked to eat coins as a child. So much so that his mom had to hide all the coins. Yeah. He thought he was a piggy bank. Oink oink. Look, Mom, I'm a piggy. And he thought that he can just swallow the coins. And who knows? Maybe money will grow out of his ass. I don't know what he thought, but apparently this person, right, this kid is swallowing the coins since he's a child. Of course, the defense attorney is trying to make it seem like, it's just this very sad story, trying to get the jury to feel some sympathy. Oh, I wonder what it's like to swallow coins. Ugh, disgusting. Poor baby. Let's feel sorry for him. For swallowing coins. And then she had the audacity to call him his own ATM machine. Poor Tanner, he used to swallow all of the pennies. He would walk around and you would hear him clink, 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 clink. He was heavier than he thought he was. Every time he stepped on the scale, he was 50 pounds heavier. But then he would get off and go clink, 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 clink. Wow. That's what they're calling him, a human ATM machine. Feel sorry for him. There's pennies coming out of his bunghole. Feel sorry for him. Let's continue.
Also, during this critical time period of development, his mother was in and out of the picture all the time. We know that she had her own issues. We know that she was in and out of jail. We know that she was in and out of drug rehab facilities. But that impeded Tanner's ability to have attachments. And Dr. Brahms talked to you about the importance of having a parent with whom you can form attachments. She talked about how important it was to have a parent from whom you can learn your coping skills. She talked about the importance of having a parent who could help bond and shape their behaviors. We didn't have this with Tanner's mother. She's a brave woman in many respects. She was brave enough to recognize that she could not provide for her son in the way that she wanted to. She had the desire, she did not have the ability. So she did the most heartbreaking thing that I think a parent could ever do, and that is give up her son to her mother to raise. And that was a very brave thing to do because she knew that Tanner would be loved by the grandmother and would be safe while she went to go to rehab to get clean. She also knew that she had legal problems and spent a good time in jail as well. Socialization. It's the next phase of childhood development. Socialization occurs.
Oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Exactly, Stacia. How many of us had non-perfect parents? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if your parents were not perfect. Raise your hand if you have trauma. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. We're supposed to feel sorry for him because his mom was just not present. Oh, please, please.
When children are learning, basically how to navigate in the world. And you look at it like when you're a baby and you're a child, again, your parents are your world. Your crib is your environment. You have the safety of the confines of your own home. And then you go to pre-K. And then you go to daycare. And your world changes. It's a whole new environment. You don't have that safety net of your mom sitting next to you. You don't have that safety net of your wubby around with you. You have new experiences, new people, new things coming at you from all over the place. And if you are not equipped with the skills to navigate and to socialize, then that can impede your development. So we know that his grandmother had enrolled Tanner into daycare, Miss Diana's. And for the first time, Tanner had the opportunity to really socialize with children his own age outside of the home and outside of the family. But what happened at Miss Diana's? Well, Jackie watched as her only grandson tried to play with the other kids and was rejected. Tried to have conversations and was rebuffed. He tried to make friends, but he wasn't able to, and eventually he would just go sit on his own.
Oh.
That was when it was suggested that Tanner get tested.
Oh, he wasn't able to make friends. He was sit by himself in the corner. I don't have any friends. I'm going to play with the ants. So he's over here playing with the ants, eating them. I don't have any more coins. I have no more money. That's probably why he's eating the ants. He has no more money because all the money is gone. It went all down the toilet. Notice that he tried to poop it out and then pick it right back up and put it back in his mouth. Except this time it all went down the toilet. So now he's playing with ants. Joking, of course. That is part of the joke. We don't know what he's playing with, but he's not able to make friends. He's not able to make any human friends. And so now the defense is about to talk about how he wasn't socialized. Oh, he wasn't socialized. He wasn't able to tell how to make friends. He wasn't able to understand people and their emotions. She's about to go down this little rabbit hole of reasons why Tanner was such a broken boy. Let's continue.
And what was the result? That was when the family learned that Tanner had Asperger's. Jackie and Melissa took their son to a clinic in Fort Worth. And it was
It shouldn't matter if you have autism, ADHD, Asperger's, cheeseburgers, tacos. None of this, none of this will make you murder a child. Again, it doesn't matter how many diagnoses he has. None of these diagnoses make anybody murder and brutally assault a child for an hour straight. None of these things are reasons to be taken into consideration on why he shouldn't be given the death penalty. So many of us have issues. I myself, I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I deal with depression, I have severe OCD. And again, zero murders under my belt. So many people have these issues, all of them. Okay. If you're a human being, you're gonna have some type of anxiety or depression or ADHD, right? Even if we're not all fully diagnosed, we all have some form of I don't know, however we were socialized, right? We have some form of anxiety around socialization. None of those are reasons to murder somebody, okay? And here she's throwing, "Oh, he has Asperger's." That is when they found out that their child had neurodivergence. Okay? And
There that they had the answer that they had been seeking. Why is my grandson different? Why is my son different? They knew he was different, but just looking at him, can you really tell? But they knew he was just a little off, so they took him in. Now, Asperger's is another neurodevelopmental disorder that's characterized by communication issues and social interaction difficulties. Now, all of those you could see at Miss Diana's when he tried to play with the kids. Now, Asperger's is not curable. Once you have Asperger's, you will always have Asperger's. You may learn some coping skills and some techniques to control the symptoms. You might learn how to have good eye contact. You might learn how to engage. You might learn how to do other things to help mask your symptoms. But at the end of the day, you still have Asperger's. And now Asperger's today falls under the autism spectrum disorder. So based on this diagnosis of the Asperger's, of the ASD, Tanner received special services in school. And you met the school.
it's so dangerous using this defense for any of these murder convictions is very dangerous. It's a slippery slope. I'm so glad that the jury came back with the verdict of a death penalty because they're sending they're sending a very clear message that this type of defense is not going to work. It's a slippery slope. We cannot just go around saying that autism, ADHD, neurodivergency makes people commit these crimes or that it contributes even. It's very dangerous to say this. Not only that, but it's very, very disrespectful to the people who have been diagnosed with autism, Asperger's, and any other type of neurodivergency, ADHD, because, as we know, they don't commit these murders. We do not. There is zero correlation. There is no correlation between having autism and becoming a violent murderer. So it's very disrespectful in my opinion, and it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Exactly. It's a dangerous premise. We can't start defending these murderers by saying that they have mental illness because now they're not saying that he's mentally ill, right? They're not saying that he is insane, which is why they didn't plead insanity, right? They didn't plead not guilty by reason of insanity because they knew that they couldn't. So the dangerous part is that now you can't, if you're not going to use the mental illness defense, you can just throw autism in there. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's not mentally insane, so it doesn't qualify for the insanity plea, but we can say that he has autism and all these other issues. And then let's defend it based on this. No, absolutely not. No. Very, very dangerous to start using this as a defense because a lot of children are being diagnosed with autism or being on the spectrum. And again, they don't grow up to murder children.
Psychologist who confirmed the diagnosis. You met the fifth grade teacher who talked about the difficulties that Tanner was having in school. And you also met the speech pathologist who helped him. The next phase of development is what was described as the mastery of one's own environment. Now, mastery of your environment is the capacity to effectively manage and manage our lives. And it teaches us how to manage our surroundings. That's when we learn. But it's difficult to manage your life and manage your surroundings when you have no stability in the home. And again, it goes back to the fact that Melissa was in and out of the house. Melissa had and had not custody of Tanner. He bounced between schools. He bounced between homes. He bounced between caregivers. He even bounced between rehab facilities with his mother. That is not stability.
Again, how many children have to go through this? That is not stability. Are we claiming that children who have no stability in a childhood home are going to grow up and become predators? No. No, the majority, maybe not the majority, but a large number of families here in the United States have to drop off their children at daycare. It's just a sad reality. We live in a world where, or at least in the time where you need more than just one parent to work to be able to raise a child. And so, of course, so many parents have to drop off their children. They're not going to be there all the time. This is ridiculous. Trying to claim that because he was unstable, there's no instability, or sorry, there's so much instability. He's being dropped off here, he's being dropped off there, dropped off at daycare. That is a normal life of an American child if you're growing up here and you're growing up, even, especially with a single parent. Of course. How is the parent then supposed to feed their child and watch them at the same time if they don't work? Yeah, 2 paychecks. Exactly. 2 paychecks is the norm at this point. Even more than 2 paychecks. We have to constantly keep working to put a roof over our head, to feed ourselves, and to put our kids in daycare and put them in school. And so, again, very weak, very, very weak defense. And it's just a complete disrespect to all of the single mothers out there who do their very, very best to give their children the best life that they can. And they do succeed at raising good people. It's just all of it, right? And again, it's the defense. We know that they have a job to do. It's just crazy to see how the defense tries to defend someone as vile as Tanner.
He moved out of the safety and security of his grandmother's home into a drug rehab facility. And where was his dad during all of this? Well, we knew that his father had legal problems. We knew that his father was an addict. We knew that his father was in and out of his life as much as his mother was, if not more. But during this phase of development, that was when one of the worst things that had happened to Tanner occurred. When he was 10 years old, he and his mother were living on a farm, and he and his cousin set fire. They were playing, and this fire got out of control. Well, his mother did the right thing, sent him down to the landlord to apologize for what had happened.
So Tanner was a little arsonist as well? No, notice how she explained that. They were playing. Hmm. They were playing and it got out of control. But they started a fire. Yeah, that sounds like arson. He's an arsonist. So he was a little psychopath since he was little. He was already setting barns on fire, it seems like.
So rather than accepting the apology and saying, no harm, no foul, I'm so glad you did this, thank you for apologizing, what did the landlord do? He anally raped Tanner. All because he accidentally set fire to a field. And we know that the records reflect that he had issues in school during that time period. The medical records reflect that
Okay, if that's true, that is so disgusting. Uh, no, I don't doubt that Tanner had a rough childhood, right? I'm not taking away from that. But again, I do get what the defense is doing. I get it. She's trying to get the jury to empathize, to feel the same feelings that they feel for the victim, Athena Strand. They're trying to get them to feel the same thing for Tanner because of what he went through as a child, which of course, yes, it's awful, but it doesn't give him the right to then grow up and do that same thing to another innocent victim.
he had issues with hemorrhoids and constipation. All of those are indicative of that type of trauma. We also know that he had difficulty admitting that and talking about it to the experts that were involved in this case. And that's not uncommon either. So after having suffered that trauma, Tanner transitioned into middle school, where he was still receiving services. Now again, you met with or you heard from the in-home facilitator who tried to teach him social skills. And he was responding, did a great job. She loved hanging out with him, loved taking him out into the community, loved watching him develop. But she also talked to you about how difficult it was at home because as much as Jackie loved him, she just wasn't getting it. As much as Bill loved him, his grandfather, he just wasn't getting it. As much as his mother loved him, she still wasn't getting it. And she and Melissa and Bill, none of them were allowed to continue with, and none of them followed through with any of the lessons that the in-home facilitator taught. And she said, he still needs them. But the school decided they were going to discontinue the services. Now, during your adolescence, you learn from Dr. Brahms that identity begins to form. And we shape our own identities, remember back in high school where you experimented with different friends, different cliques, different hairdos, different clothes styles, looking for who you are and trying to find who you are. This stage of development is especially difficult for one who has level 1 autism. Why is that? Because just looking at somebody, you can't tell if they're level 1 autistic. But the thing is, they know they're a little different. They know they're a little off. They know that they just don't quite fit in. They start to see themselves as an outcast. They start hanging out with other people that they identify with, other outcasts, and it becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy. When we talk about identity, we have to ask ourselves, what is it like to be Tanner Horner? And Tanner described himself as being an android when everybody else is an apple. And he feels like a robot.
Wait, did Tanner described himself as an android when everyone else is an apple? Is that what she said? So he's android when everyone else is apple? What does that even mean? He sees the world in pixels. When he thinks a thought, he only sees pixelated photos or, visions in his head. Is that what he means? Oh, I can't send an iMessage. It's not that clear in my brain. That's why it's all pixelated and blurry. I must be a Samsung. What in the world? That is what he describes himself as. He's an Android, not an Apple product. Ugh, Samsung. I don't like Samsung. I want to be Apple. Apparently, that is what he considers himself. An android.
But that defaults to human emotions. And that's important because it shows that he recognizes that he's just a little different, but so wants to fit in. The other thing that Dr. Brahms talked about was how important it is to have someone in your life during this critical phase that can encourage you, that can, recognize your successes, give you that positive feedback that you want and that you need. He didn't have any of this. Again, he had a mother who loved him, but she was struggling with her own issues, the legal problems, the drug addiction, her own personal trauma. He had a grandmother who loved him, but she was also struggling with her own personal traumas, the traumas that she herself suffered, the traumas that were inflicted upon her daughter that she harbored such guilt for. She also had her own physical health to contend with. The last phase of childhood development that we learned about was emancipation into adulthood. And that's where we talk about where we have developed coping skills to become the integrated adult that we are. Now, what do we mean by an integrated adult? Well, that means that be able to absorb what is around you and take that in and make your decisions based upon what you've learned. No one at home taught him how to do this. He had no coping skills. His default became avoidance.
What? You don't have to be taught these things, lady. The argument is so weak. It's so weak that he wasn't taught how to socialize because of his level 1 autism. And the women in his life, they loved him, but they were struggling with their own trauma. Isn't that all of us? Again, that's all of us. There isn't a single person that hasn't struggled with something in their life. That's literally all of us. But again, what is the point of all of this? Everyone has gone through some trauma. Everyone has gone through it. Not all of us have this perfect childhood upbringing. And what about the people who do have a perfect childhood upbringing and they still murder people? What about them? Again, it has nothing to do with neurodivergence. It has nothing to do with the parent not being there fully or having to deal with trauma, having to work extra hours, not being present. Sure, yeah, we can look at it as, oh, maybe this contributed to it, but it is not the entire thing. Not all of it wasn't a contribution to what he did. He ended up annihilating a 7-year-old child, not because of what happened to him in middle school. Come on. She started with him in the womb. Okay, this is how ridiculous this is. This defense attorney started with defending him in the womb. Oh, he was bound to be a criminal because he didn't have a chance. He had no shot ever since he was in the womb. He had fetal alcohol syndrome. And now we're talking about middle school into adulthood. And she started with fetal alcohol syndrome. We're going into neglect. We're going into some more BS. Now we're in middle school. Okay. And now she's talking about how the transition from middle school to adulthood, there was no one there present to show him how to be an adult. Oh, no one was there to show him how to be a functioning adult in society. No one taught him how to not be a serial killer or a murderer, right? He's not a serial killer, a serial rapist. No one was there to teach him right from wrong. You don't do that. You don't do that. That's bad. Do this instead. Come on. Come on. You don't teach empathy. You don't teach that. You're born with it. That's something that you feel for others. You don't kill other people because it's just not in your nature. I mean, or what? Do we need to be taught not to kill people? I'm sorry, but I don't remember ever being taught how to not kill someone. I don't remember ever getting that lesson in school. All right, sit down, kids. Today we're going to have a lesson on how not to murder people. Everybody get your pens out. Okay. Yes. All right, everybody. So if you see someone walk by, what do you do? Yes, Jimmy. You don't murder them? Exactly. A+. Yay. If you see a cat walk by, what do you not do? Hi, yes, Sarah. Hi, yes. You don't kick the cat? Exactly. Correct answer. You don't kick the cat. Everyone's so good at this. Yeah, because you're born with empathy. You are born knowing not to kick cats or punch people in the back of the head. This is just common sense, is it not? Do we need to be taught these things? Teach me how not to be a piece of shit. Do we need universities for this? Teach me how to be a good person. Wow. Erikisa, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yay. Thanks for the super chat. But yeah, isn't that insane? What we all need to go to classes now to learn how to leave people alone. You see a stranger cross the street, what do? You leave them alone. Leave them alone. Let them live. Let them be.
He avoided everything. He deflected to music, to anime, to movies. And he never learned to deal properly with the stressors in his life. So we talked about interventions. And it's no doubt that Tanner had a lot of interventions. He had the speech pathologist during middle school. He had the content mastery teacher in high school. He had Beth. He had his fifth grade teacher helped him out. But remember what you learned is that if you don't continue with these interventions, use it or lose it.
Oh, whoa. If you see a kid has no empathy, you teach them like a kid that doesn't know how to be gentle with a pet. Are those, I don't know, are those serial killer traits? If a child has no empathy from childhood, I think that's a problem. I think children, especially the ones who are harming animals, no child should be harming an animal. I think that's very, very strange. There's definitely a difference between children who are already born empathetic and then children who are not born empathetic. Empathy isn't really something that you can teach. You can definitely teach children not to do those things, right? Don't harm cats because it's bad. It's not seen as something good that society as a whole agrees. Harming cats is bad. But are we actually able to teach someone empathy, to feel bad for harming the cat or the dog or anything else, right? I don't know. I don't think so. In my opinion, you cannot teach empathy. In my opinion, if a child is already harming animals at a very young age, there needs to be some intervention, other than trying to teach them to be empathetic. Because at that point, I think they need therapy. They definitely need therapy. There needs to be some form of actual intervention to prevent this child from continuing to harm animals. Although, like I said, I don't believe that you can teach them empathy. You can teach them not to do these things because they're not viewed favorably by society. And if anything, that's probably the best that can be done. But yes, intervention. Intervene, put your child in some therapy because that's kind of scary.
He didn't have anybody at home that could help him use it, and so you just kind of fall off. And it's also important to note that high school content mastery, it was available to everybody, and it really did work for him. It helped him graduate. Now granted, he graduated in like the bottom 5% of his class, but he went on to graduate. After he graduated, things kind of drifted from band to band, from job to job, and then he met the mother of his child.
Bottom 5%, guys. He finished school in the bottom 5% of his class.
They fell in love, moved in together, and they had a child. But moving in and having a fiance and having a baby isn't the same as settling down. Now, they moved around a lot. They still had a lot of chaos in their lives. They bounced between her mother's house, his grandmother's house. They lived with friends. They had their own apartment, all these different things. So there was still chaos in the life. They also had financial difficulties. We know that the mother of his child was suffering from postpartum issues. She wasn't able to work, wasn't able to keep the house, wasn't able to do all the things that she wanted to do, except go out and party. And we know that that's what they did, even though they were trying to save money to buy a place of their own. So Tanner was trying to be the only breadwinner, keep his fiance happy, save up to get the place of their own. So they never could seem to get ahead. They always had these issues. And then the car that they had broke down, so they had to get a new car. Kept rolling and rolling and rolling, and his boss came in and gave him $1,100. But that also added another layer of stress, because now Tanner had.
Yeah, it all sounds like he's just very irresponsible. He's just an irresponsible individual. That's all that is. You don't have to be autistic to be irresponsible and lazy. She's describing how they couldn't get ahead, how Tanner and his girlfriend at the time, they couldn't get ahead because they were always partying. Yeah, no shit. You can't expect to get ahead if you're going out and getting shit-faced every night. How are you supposed to get ahead? Of course you can't. But everything that she's explaining here, none of it is relating to his Asperger's and his autism. It all sounds like an irresponsible man. He's an irresponsible adult, someone with a very, very low IQ, very low emotional IQ as well, very immature. But again, it's not because of all of these things that they're trying to make it sound like. It's just that he's lazy. It's just that he is irresponsible. That's it. He's just an irresponsible human being. He can't even clean up after himself. He lives in dirt. He lives in an absolute pigsty of his own making because he doesn't clean up. He's lazy.
To work 6 days a week in order to pay that $150 a week back. When he took the job at FedEx, he thought that that would give him some stability in life. That's what he was hoping. And for a while it did. They still had the money problems, and they were working through all of that. But he had the root nasal. That's where he grew up. He knew those streets. He was able to do his roots without issue. And then his route got changed. Added another layer of stress. Another layer of stress that he was not able to cope with. When the route changed, the anxiety increased. New routes, new roads, new people, new routine. And that's what led up to this offense. We don't forget Athena. We don't.
Wow.
Because on November the 30th, 2022, Tanner did something that changed the lives of all of us. Every single person in this room has been affected by Tanner's actions.
Well, I'm glad she put up Athena's photo back up. I'm glad that she's mentioning Athena and that her photo is back up at least.
On that day, Tanner delivered the packages to Athena's house, Barbie's. And he got out, delivered the package, decided to snort a little cocaine because he had had insomnia, was tired, was, had all these other issues. And she saw him, and he thought that she was going to tell on him. And if she told, he would lose his job. If he lost his job, he would lose his car. If he lost his car, he wouldn't be able to have transportation for the baby. If he didn't have transportation for the baby, something could happen. He couldn't do this. It just kept snowballing in his mind. Now, there was no planning. There was no premeditation. There was no preparation. You kept hearing about all of these stickies being put on the lens cover. But let me ask you this. If you were planning to abduct a child, would you cover the lens cap before you did it or after you did it? It doesn't make sense, and that's where their assertions fall apart. It does make sense that he would have covered a lens cap to hide the fact that he was vaping weed. It does make sense that he would hide the lens cap or cover the camera lens if he was snorting some cocaine. It does make sense that he would do all of that, but it doesn't make sense that he would wait until after she was in the van to cover the lens cap.
Okay. Is that really her defense? That's what she's going with? That it wasn't premeditated because he forgot to cover the camera? Are we serious right now? Come on. Come on. Now, we know he's not drooling on himself, right? So he doesn't deserve the insanity plea. And we know that he's not mentally ill, so he doesn't deserve, ending up at a mental institution for the rest of his life. But we know that he's not smart, right? He's not smart, but he doesn't have to be drooling on himself for him to be considered stupid. No, he's just a stupid man. He's very, very low IQ, obviously, and my guess is that he was so excited to commit his fantasy, the thing that he has always wanted to do, that he forgot. There's so many other reasons why he didn't cover the camera when he did, right? But again, this is a very weak argument. She's arguing that it wasn't premeditated because he didn't cover the camera beforehand. I mean, come on. Of course it was premeditated. Everything else shows us that it was premeditated. The route, he was always going down the same route. He wanted the same truck. He had seen the girls already. All of this was premeditated. He was a predator. He had already seen his prey being a child, and he had set his sights on her. That is all premeditated. Very, very, very weak argument here. Oh, he would have covered up the camera if it was premeditated, just like he premeditated the smoking of the weed and the cocaine. Okay? No, he was just so excited about what the disgusting thing he was about to do that he didn't even care.
All of this was caught on video and audio. And like I said, there's not a person in this room that heard that was not deeply affected by that. We all were, and we all will have to carry that with us for the rest of our lives. No one should have to go through what Maitland Gandy and Jacob Strand went through. No one should have to bury their child. And when a child is taken in the way that she was taken, It's natural for us to be angry. We should be angry. We should be furious that her life was taken from her in that manner. We have every right to be, and we should be. And it's natural for us to want to know why this happened. But you know what? We won't ever know why it happened. It's easy to sit here and blame the autism, the lead exposure, the FASD, the ADHD, the mental health issues. It would be easy for us to do that. And the state keeps telling me that that's exactly what we did. But remember, every single witness that we asked, is this an excuse? This isn't a defense. This isn't a justification. And every single one is like, no. The fact that he has autism is not an excuse for killing Athena. The fact that he has fetal alcohol syndrome disorder does not excuse the attempted sexual assault. The fact that he has lead exposure does not excuse the murder. It is no excuse. It is not a defense. It is not a justification.
Did she just say the intended? Is that what she said? Did she say the intended sexual assault?
That he has lead exposure does not excuse the murder. It is no excuse. It is not a defense. It is not a justification. But what all of these diagnoses do is it kind of helps explain how we got to this point, how we got there. Now, the state wants.
She's saying she's not doing one thing, but she's actually doing that same thing that she's describing she's not doing. Isn't that weird? She's saying, oh, we can't just blame it on the autism and we can't blame it on the mental health issues and the ADHD and the neurodivergency, but we're going to blame it on all of those things. That's exactly what she just did. Not very bright. This lady reminds me of Amber Heard's lawyer, not very bright. Exactly, Stacia. Yeah. Is it Stacia or Stasia? Please correct me. I do want to get your names right. Is it Stasia or Stacia? Please let me know. Then why the heck did you bring them up? Exactly. Why is she bringing it up? She's bringing it up. Oh, it's not about this. Let's not blame it on these things. But that's why we're here, she says. So she always ends it with a but.
Wants you to believe that unless you're sitting in a corner drooling all over yourself, you are not impaired. But every single expert in the field said level 1 impairment is still impairment. Mild is still impairment. Moderate is still impairment. You just aren't a little pregnant. You either are or you're not. You are not a little autistic. You are or you aren't. You are not just a little alcohol exposed. You are or you aren't. There is no, if you are, you are.
Yeah, she couldn't even finish her sentence there because she knows what she's saying is a bunch of BS. What was she saying? You're not a little pregnant. You either are or you aren't. You're not a little alcohol exposed. You either are or you aren't. I mean, technically, yeah. You're not just a little alcohol exposed, but I will say that driving below 0.08 is a little bit of alcohol, right? You have been a little bit exposed if you're not over the limit. If you're over the limit, you are more exposed. So, what is she getting to? What is she trying to get at here? She's saying that he's level 1 impaired, whatever that means. Level 1. Let's go ahead and look it up. She keeps bringing it up as some type of excuse here. Level 1. All right. Here, I just Googled this real quick. All right. Level 1 autism. People see me as awkward, not disabled. I can befriend or date, but it is hard and I am often lonely. I can handle change, but I prefer routine. So the prison is going to be perfect for him then. My fidgeting is seen as quirky or annoying. I fidget. That's why I have toys. I have all of these toys that you guys don't see. They're just hanging here because all I do when I'm editing is fidget. That's all I do is fidget. I'm editing, I'm here editing and I'm like, picking my ear. I'm doing something, right, to keep myself busy. And I use these little things to fidget with. People may think my delays are signs of laziness or insecurity. This is level 1, okay? This is what they are considering a disability for Tanner. Level 1 autism is what they're considering a disability for him. That's what she's saying here. Or you're not just a little bit autistic. You are or you aren't. Yeah, level 1 should be Chris Twatt's picture by it. Exactly. Chris Twats is also just as awkward and weird. Did we have an autism defense for him? No, no. He knew exactly what he was doing. Just a bunch of fluff. It's a bunch of fluff. Let's continue listening.
So the important thing to remember about these diagnoses is that they are not what we call additive. It doesn't mean he has autism plus FASD plus lead exposure plus ADHD plus mental health. That's not how it works. All of the experts testified that this is a compounding issue. So it would be autism times FASD times ADHD times lead exposure times all the other mental health issues. And so it doesn't boil down to, well, you had a bad upbringing, you didn't kill anybody. Well, did that person also have autism? Did they also have FASD? Did they also have ADHD? Did they also have lead exposure? So we have these false equivalents going on throughout the state's questioning. It isn't a false equivalent. It is a compounding.
What? Wow. False equivalent. She's really talking about false equivalency here. Oh, it's not just that you were brought up in a rough childhood environment. Did you also have autism and ADHD and fetal alcohol syndrome and lead exposure and Asperger's and hemorrhoids? Do you have all of those things? Because those are all compounding issues. Of all of the things that she numbered here, I have probably 5 out of 6. The only thing I don't have, I don't think, is Asperger's or autism. Not that I've been diagnosed. Out of everything else, though, I have all of those. I have lead exposure. I was in the military. I have lead exposure. I have severe ADHD, right? I do have trauma from my childhood. And we can go down the list here in the chat of how many of us, right? Raise your hand. Show of hands. Who has all of these little things as well? How many of us have ADHD? How many of us have depression, anxiety? What else was she talking about? Trauma, right? Childhood trauma, lead exposure. Oh, I've been exposed to lead. Really? And now she's saying that all of those things added to the childhood trauma, those are compounding reasons. Compounding, she says. It's not autism plus Asperger's plus hemorrhoids. Is autism times Asperger's times hemorrhoids equals a psychopath, right? That's what she's saying here. Yes, exactly. All the hands, exactly. I have ADHD, trauma, anxiety, depression, which is managed. Exactly. Yeah, all of us. If you're human, you're going to have some trauma. It's just part of life.
Issue. So, again, what does it all mean? We know that Tanner had a history of catastrophizing. We know that. And in the most simplistic terms, it's making a mountain out of a molehill. And when he thought that Athena saw him doing cocaine, it never dawned on him that she wouldn't know what it meant. It never dawned on him that she might not recognize that what he was doing was wrong. In his mind, he jumped from point A to point Z in the most irrational fashion. So somehow, somebody, a child seeing him do something that they may or may not understand, ended up in him losing his child, losing his car, and being evicted from his house. So that's how his brain worked. And once he made the decision, the very bad decision, to take her, it just snowballed out of there. He didn't know how to get out of it. He wasn't able to reason and think about the consequences of his actions. And again, that's not anything new, because you heard from the teachers who recognized that issue all the way back in 5th grade. So this isn't something that the defense cooked up to try to get him out of it. No, we have the documentation from it. And you have those records. You can...
The whole thing that she's trying to convince people of here, that he catastrophized things. Yeah, a lot of us, if you have ADHD, you catastrophize. It's just part of what you do, especially if you're a procrastinator, especially you're wondering of all of the bad things that can potentially happen. Except, how is assaulting and killing a child part of your catastrophizing mentality? He went from believing that a 7-year-old can rat him out for snorting cocaine to then thinking, oh, if she rats me out, I'm going to lose my job. If I lose my job, I lose this, I lose that, right? It was like a snowball effect. But then how did it, in that catastrophe that he saw, how did he see raping and murdering a child as part of the solution to this catastrophe that he supposedly saw? It is so absolutely absurd. It is so stupid to think that this is how he problem solved. If he was afraid of what this child was going to do, that she was going to report him to his FedEx supervisors, which is just so absolutely stupid. If he actually believed this, there were other things that he could have done, right? Like drive off, leave, drive as fast as possible. Oh, this girl saw me do something. Let me just drive away and never come back here. I'm going to ask for a different route. There's so many other things that he could have done, but how did his mind go from, oh my God, I got caught snorting cocaine? Let me rape and kill this child. Let me torture her for a whole hour in the back of the FedEx truck. How is that a solution? It's so stupid. It's so absolutely batshit crazy. It is so disrespectful, in my opinion. It's so gross to try and come up with a story that is believable. None of this makes any sense. No logical person thinks of doing this when you're getting caught, okay? When you're getting caught doing something. No one does this.
And look at those records. You can take every single bit of evidence back there and go through it. You have that right. Just ask the judge to send it back with you. The catastrophizing isn't new either. You saw that also through many stories that you heard from the witness stand, especially the one where they talked about him losing his patience over at Outback over the dishes piling up. He was overwhelmed and wasn't able to cope. So rather than asking for help, which we kind of would probably think the normal person would do, no. He became overwhelmed and he quit because he couldn't handle it. And we talk about these diagnoses and how they are presented. Well, they were on full display during the interrogation videos. Full display. Dr. Brahms told you that every fifth sentence in those interrogation videos were diagnostic for her. Now, we know that he lied. We do. But as Steve pointed out, lying goes back to the dawn of time when we've tried to cover something that we have done wrong. It's not anything new. Officer Amy lied to cover her tracks. Joe Espinoza lied to try to get a confession. We have, to say that because he lied about the multiple personality disorder should discount everything else we know in this case is just a bunch of hooey.
Everything she's saying is a bunch of hooey. How much longer? She goes on forever. Don't these closing arguments have a time limit? Look at this. She goes on and on and on. About what exactly? Here, let's fast forward. She's just talking too much.
Issue number 2, mitigation is any reason for any one of you to choose life. And it can be individual for each of you. That's why we talked about your individual moral judgment during jury selection. You have the absolute right to pick and choose what is or is not mitigating to you. And if you have found something that is sufficiently mitigating that would warrant a sentence of life without parole rather than the death sentence, you have the absolute right to vote your conscience. You have the absolute right to have your voice heard. So when you go back in that jury room, what I want you to do is I want you to talk to each other. And y'all have been talking for like the last 5 weeks, and what's a little more talk, right? I want you to talk to each other about your lives, about your experiences, about the things that make you who you are. Talk about what you saw. Talk about your children. And then what I want you to do is speak up. I want you to speak up. If you have a reason to choose life, speak up. Because that is your right. Your truth is your truth, just like your other jurors' truths are their own truths.
All right, so she tried to convince at least one juror. Just one. If she successfully convinced just one to not give him the death penalty, she would have, she would have been successful. She would have done her job successfully. And yeah, that's what she's doing here. She's asking for mitigating circumstances, right? Any mitigating circumstance to not give this piece of crap the death penalty that he deserves. Of course, there were no mitigating circumstances at all, as we know. He was found to be completely competent in everything that he did, and he was given the death penalty. The jury returned the verdict of a death penalty for Tanner Horner. And that is the best news that we have today. Justice has been served, and we got a death penalty conviction. I think we're going to leave it there. She goes on. It looks like she goes on for another, I don't know how many minutes. Maybe she's almost done. But yeah, that is all we have for today for this case. We went through a lot today. We were able to go through the closing arguments, at least some of them. And we also got to watch the jury come back with a death penalty sentence. And so this is, it's been a day. It has really been a day. Thank you all so much for joining. It's just one of those days. It's a little weird still, but I am very glad that we saw justice. And I mean, from now on, we just really have to see what's going on with Tanner, what goes on with him, where he is going to be transferred to, and just follow up on anything that we hear from him. I do still hope for some inmate justice, if you get my drift. But again, the jury delivered the correct sentencing, and that is something that we have to celebrate. We got justice for Athena Strand. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me and for watching this case with me. It is a very, very hard case. Very, very sad. All of the facts on this case were absolutely brutal. So thank you all so much for being here with us, and yeah, for just spending time with us together. Take care, you all. Thank you so much. Please take care. Crazy people out there. Take care of your children, take care of your fur babies, and take care of yourselves and one another. Thank you all so much. There will be a live stream. Our next live stream will be on Thursday, and there will be a video out. So as soon as I'm done here, I'll finish up some of the edits, and there will be a video out here for everybody all available. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.